Today we are going to see. What if Naruto walked the path of Donquixote Doflamingo? So let's get started. He had lost, defeated, the kingdom he built and ruled, crushed. Especially said defeat was handed to him by some naive brat, a brat that was bearing the name of D. It's annoying, really. Some snot-nosed, infuriating monkey brat defeated me. I suppose I see. And take comfort that said monkey brat possessed the characteristics to become a king. He thought with a bit of respect. But he couldn't really bring himself to contemplate about his defeat. All he could feel was guilt and regret brought by his failure. Not about his revenge on the celestial dragons, but for his family. Not only he failed to protect them, even though he knew they could handle themselves. But because of not returning in full of what his family gave him. He took everything for granted. Virgo, Diamante, Pica, Monet, Treble, all of you I'm sorry. He knew he was at his last breath. With the splinters of wood and metal piercing his left lung and his heart, and his sight becoming dull every second, still he could see everything in his 37-year-old life flash through his eyes. All the ups and downs he and his family walked through, every little thing his family gave him, he didn't really appreciate it fully until now. It made him happy and sad at the same time. Happy that he could clearly see that his family cared for him, but also sad because he didn't return it with his family, and he really regret it. Before death claimed him, he thought, I know it's late, but like some people say, better late than never. So Virgo, Monet, Pica, Diamante, Treble, everyone thank you. As his wounds claimed his life, a smile of happiness and content wormed its way on his face. Now, Donquixote Doflamingo, also known as the Heavenly Demon, King of Dressrosa, and the captain of the Don Quixote Pirates, died after a battle of kings. Line break. October 10th, a day that should have been full of shouts of happiness and joy, turned out full with screams and yells pain, grief, sorrow and death as a being mostly known as the Nine-Tailed Fox, rampaged through the village called Konohagakure no Sato. But Daffy didn't know any of that. All he knew was that he was alive, he was in a dark, warm and small place. Daffy didn't know why he's alive, considering I got a medal lodged in my heart, Daffy thought, confused. He tried to use hockey, but exhaustion hit him fast, but he felt some presences. Daffy didn't know many are there, but he got a locked on 4 presences. All 4 are close to him, in fact, too close. It took a moment to register everything that was happening to him right now. He was alive, 'cause he was sure no one can heal someone with a stabbed heart, and, somehow he was a baby. He didn't know if he wanted to laugh, cry or burst in a rampage of anger. First, defeated by Strafut, and now waking up as a baby, tch. He also got a clue to all the presences around him. Well, not all of them. The first 3 are definitely human. 2 weak presents alongside a strong one, guess it's my mother and siblings, and we're a triplets he thought with dull amusement. He didn't know what to make of the last one. It was strong, suppressed, and definitely not human. It was powerful and full of anger, but he couldn't think of something resembling a presence like that. Before he could continue his analysis, he felt sleepy. Deciding to dwell on it in the near future, he'll wait until he was reborn, because right now, Daffy got his first battle. This is gonna be irritatingly boring. Daffy grumbled as sleep claimed him. Line break. After an excruciatingly long time, Daffy knew it was time. He felt the presence of his siblings, his mother who's feeling some discomfort right now, and the unknown. Its presence was getting stronger as well, the prison containing it was weakening but still in place. Daffy didn't know how long the time passed, but when he came to the world he knew he's the first. Voices of a woman shouting and a man yelling something was the first thing hit his ears, though he couldn't make out of it, soon followed by a sound of crying, it's my siblings. Soon the screams increased, but in a different tone. It was filled with anger and panic. Using Kanbunshoku as best as he could, he felt all the familiar auras of his parents, siblings, and nurses. There was a 4-in-1 Daffy didn't know and a couple of nurse that was currently dying. Daffy didn't know what was happening, and there was nothing he could do but cry. The next thing Daffy knew, he felt he was tossed in the air and then dizziness hit him, sending him into unconsciousness. Line break. Doflamingo woke up crying due to the malevolent presence that, even though he could barely see, was in front of him. It was something full of anger and hate aimed towards anything and everything. The same he had that was aimed towards the celestial dragons. Activating his hockey, he could feel the auras of his siblings. His parents and someone he's familiar but currently didn't know. The next thing Daffy felt was that the huge being was being forced inside him, a burning dealing in his stomach. though it felt considerably weaker. The same with my siblings but much stronger, and what the hell is this aura of death? He couldn't dwell on his thoughts much longer as unconsciousness claimed him again. Line break. Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage, stood in front of the citizens alongside his wife, Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, and his predecessor, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Minato started his speech, words of sympathies, condolences, and reassurances given to the people. He took a deep breath, preparing himself to say another thing that would bring huge consequences to his children. Another thing, my beloved citizens, the demon fox that is this tragedy was now stopped. Stopped by the real heroes of this day. By dividing the body of the Kyuubi, I sealed the yin and yang chakra of the demon inside Mito and Menma. With a better purpose, it said chakra to keep the peace in our village and hopefully the whole world. While the powerless soul was sealed inside my eldest son, Naruto, keeping it from regaining its power and holding the beast at bay. You may consider me the hero tonight, but I am saying this right now. My children was the real savior of the village, the real heroes of Konohagakure no Sato. Minato finished. Shouts of gratitude and praises rang through the air and Minato couldn't help but close his eyes and released a sigh of relief, seemingly satisfied. Oh. How things went despite the crisis. The village stopped. While his eyes were closed, he didn't saw the looks of hatred and vengeance etched in the eyes of most of the villagers aimed at Naruto, silently promising of blood and revenge. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Daffy thought. A mouthful and weak-sounding name, though I guess I have no choice in the matter. It was his name now, or specifically, the child that he possessed. What's annoying is that not only I have a weak name, but I also have a weak body. Of course I'm weak right now, considering they trained those two brats early, and I'm not included in said training. TCH. Greatest Hokage and one of the strongest kunoichi, my ass. I've got no time for such nonsense. They're all idiots. Daffy fumed silently, starting to his own training. At the age of 7. Daffy he was quite tall over the kids his age, not much but still noticeable, due to his physical conditioning. Short, spiky blonde hair and bright blue eyes, clearly inherited from Minato. As repeated his morning training routine, his thoughts drifted back on how it all started. Flashback. Ever since he started hearing and seeing more clearly, Daffy knew the new family he now belonged to was almost perfect, almost. As he knew there's always ups downs. He can admit to himself that the first 5 years of his new life was a happy one. It was like a dream, knowing and feeling a life with a family that he can rely on. A family that he can understand the meaning of family, and a family that gave him a familial love. It was nice, and he couldn't deny that. So relished and savored it, to the point that he almost forgot his old life as Donquixote Doflamingo. But by the time Daffy and his siblings reached the age of 5, they started training his siblings, saying they needed it more than him at the moment. Daffy knew they have reasons why, though he didn't know what, he complied anyway. The first month passed and he tried asking again, and he was denied again. Daffy waited again, though he noticed something along the month. They started forgetting him in dinners, or his mom forgetting him tucking in bed and some other things. His waiting reached into a year and he knew something's not right. So he tried again, asking if he could train with them. But the answer he got was, "Stop bothering us. Why would we train you when your siblings have something special that you clearly don't have? It'll only be a waste of time training you. You shouldn't be dreaming like becoming a ninja. You're weak. You're a failure." From his mother, he was shocked, angered, hurt, and most of all, felt betrayed. Something inside cracked, though he didn't know why and he couldn't care about that as he just glared at his parents. He directed his sights to his siblings, looking at him with a mocking and smug looks. Bastards. All of 'em, Daffy thought furiously. He didn't waste time running out of the house, intending to blow some fuse somewhere. He didn't notice the villagers leering at him with hate clearly written in their eyes. He just kept running and reached the red light district. The villagers approaching him, intent on some payback against the demon fox, as the villagers said. Still Daffy didn't notice them. His emotions running rampant, until it was too late. Just like back then, Daffy thought coldly, curled into a corner as the villagers punched and kicked him. Stabbed and hammered by every possible things around him, he couldn't do anything but cry, yelling at them to stop. Something shattered in his mind. Memories of his past life flooded his mind, destroying his unknowingly created barrier that made him forget who and what he was. Pouring all the hate and anger born from his past and current predicament, he exploded. "Stop!" Daffy screamed. A short, but Almost like a commanding sound echoed through the air and knocking all the civilians around him and reawakening the proof of who he was. He watched them fall one by one emotionlessly, looking at them like they're insignificant compared to him. But Daffy's not really watching them. He is watching the memories and nightmares all over again. All the pain he suffered and endured in his past life, and the images of his family. No. They're not my family. Looking down at him, disappointment and annoyance from Kushina and Minato, and the mocking and smug ones from the two brats. He didn't know how long he watched the memories. But by the time he's done, clarity came over him. The world's denying me again. But I already know what it feels like, and this will not stop me. I am the captain of the Donquixote pirates. I am a Shichibukai. I am a royalty and I am a king. They can't impose their will on me. I am Donquixote Doflamingo. Only darkness and silence remains in the alley, until Daffy chuckled non-stop, becoming loud. Almost insane laughter. Flashback end. Daffy shook his head to clear his thoughts as decided to wrap up his training. Looking at the sky, he guessed it was past lunchtime. He decided to hunt for his own lunch. He walked through the forest, searching anything edible. 20 minutes passed, and with a variety of fruits, a small wild boar. He gathered a bunch wood and started to create a fire to cook the meat. As he waited for the meat to be cooked, Daffy thought about his progress in his training. He knew his haki was exceptional, especially his Kanbunshoku and Busoshoku. Daffy knew his Houshoku was not at its best, but considering the strain when using it was annoying, but he knew it was only a matter of time before he can use freely. He grinned at the thought of it. He also repolished the Rokushiki. It was a formidable skill set, not the same as his strings, but still useful. He also skimmed through the basic jutsus and chakra exercises taught in the academy. At the thought of his strings, Daffy's grin disappeared, replaced by a scowl. For a whole year he couldn't replicate his strings from his devil fruit. It's always that pathetic chakra strings used by puppeteers in Suna. As he was eating his food, a thought occurred to him. An idea entered his mind that, hopefully, might create his strings. Decades of using his devil fruit, he forgot the main fuel this land or world has, chakra. Daffy wanted to laugh at his moment of stupidity as he forgot one of the most important things. So with that in mind, he held up his hand with his middle finger pointed forwards. He poured a large amount of chakra and he felt the sensation of a string, but not the one he wanted. He poured more chakra to his finger, willing to summon something that he felt in him deep down. Sweat appeared and his scowl deepened, forcing all his chakra. Daffy could feel his finger was like burning, but he pushed through, and suddenly the feeling of burning stopped. He only felt something poking out of his finger. Taking deep breaths, he opened his eyes and looked at his finger. And he saw it, a 5-inch length of white string swaying in the wind, and Doflamingo grinned. He's silent L. Y chuckled, then turning into a boisterous laughter filled with a sense of joy and content. He didn't know when he laughed like that, but he couldn't care about that now. All he could think of was that his strings are back and nothing else. Deciding to stop his training for now, he went back home. Not bothered by villagers, glares at him, walking back with his hands in his pockets, exaggerated steps, and wearing the same wide smile where his Jolly Roger came from. It's annoyingly boring today, Daffy thought out loud. A month has passed since he had recreated and trained with his strings. He made vast progress in his training, though it seemed that his overheat and 5 chromatic strings are gone. But he was not worried. He knew it was only matter of time before he finds something to help use his missing string-themed techniques. Making his way across the streets, he saw someone who looked like having a free time right now. Hiruzen Sarutobi walked through the village, taking advantage of the early morning light to warm up his blood. He looked around the village, thankful of the recovery of the villagers from the dreaded night of the Kyuubi attack 7 years ago. Time flies so fast, Hiruzen thought, a content smile on his face. Speaking of the attack, his smile turned into a soft frown as he thought about Naruto. He knew of the boy's circumstances. It was sad, but he cowed. And he pitied the boy when he saw him building his life. He would always wear a smile that was too wide, bordering unnerving, when he saw him walk exaggeratedly around the village, even when most of the villagers leered at or throw stuff at him. He has a strong will and resolve. It may no be the same as the will of fire, but his will to live to pass the obstacles is really entertaining and admirable. Hiruzen thought, happy for Naruto's life despite the circumstances. Old man, we know that your wrinkly skin will never go away even if you walk in the morning every day, you know. I bet you're from 2-block long walk you just went. Here, lemme aid ya back home. Ha ha ha, Daffy quipped, chuckling all the while. Speak of the devil, Hiruzen thought, amused, but also annoyed at the greeting. Hiruzen sent light chop at his head. Ho, so you think I am just a weak old man? I can still beat here to Iwagakure any day of the week, boy. He countered. He. All right, old man, you win. Naruto replied, rubbing the top of his head, chuckling. So where are you up to now, old man? Ah, I'm just walking around the village, relishing the morning sun, maybe a stroll in the forest. Will you join me in my stroll, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked. Naruto just replied with a shrug and a nod and started pacing with the old man in silence. They reached the edge of the forests, taking a clearer path towards inside. Hiruzen, while taking in the sights, thought about his first conversation with Naruto. He remembered the anger in Naruto's eyes when he broached the topic of his family, expecting some loud curses and yells. Though he heard a few of curses, he didn't expect it for the boy to talk about his circumstances calmly. Naruto spoke words that Hiruzen should have been hearing in an older, more experienced ninja. Or a civilian at the very least. Naruto asked him to keep this a secret to his family. Hiruzen remembered that if he confront them, it would only lead to more pointless argument. Hiruzen was both happy and disappointed. Happy for the boy, no, young man, that at least he has some knowledge in life, a vital requirement to survive in the shinobi world, and disappointment, though not on Naruto. But for the boy's parents forcing him to mature earlier than he should have been. Oi, old man, you there? Naruto asked, forcing Hiruzen out of his thoughts. What is it? Hiruzen asked. It's about the fox, right? Why I'm in this predicament, right? Naruto asked seriously. Hiruzen widened his eyes slightly, surprised at the sudden question. He was silent for a moment before answering. Yes, it is because of the Kyuubi. I understand the need to train with the yin and yang chakra sealed inside your sister and brother respectively, because it could harm someone if they unknowingly used said chakra. But that didn't justify the circumstances around you. Hiruzen paused for a moment. Why do you ask? Nothing. Just confirming something. Naruto replied. Naruto, you know that I'm here to help, right? Hiruzen asked. He knew that the first time he asked Naruto the same question, he lashed out at him as he thought that he was pitying him. Maybe I'll take your offer some other time. Naruto replied. After an hour of wandering around, they parted ways with Naruto throwing a last quip on his age, chuckling as he ducked under a punch to his head. Hiruzen stayed for a moment watching Naruto's form disappear around a corner before deciding to head home. A second later, an Anbu appeared to Hiruzen's side walking alongside him. Some conversation you got there, Sandaime-sama. Is that the kid you're talking about? Shisui Uchiha, or Bird, asked the former Hokage. Yes, Shisui, he is. He has something inside him. And no, I'm not talking about the fox but something else. He possesses a unique presence and charisma that seem to pull you close to him. I do not know what that is, but I'm sure it would make a huge impact in his life along the way. Hiruzen replied with tone of wonder and curiosity. A few minutes later he reached his home and dismissing his Anbu guard for the day. I can't to see what impact you'd bring in the village, Naruto. Line break. Mito and his younger brother sat at around the kitchen table waiting for their mother to finish cooking their lunch. He looked to his brother, Menma, clearly impatient waiting for the ramen served. They just finished another training session earlier and Mito knew that, even with the age of 7, both she and Menma are qualified to enter the ninja academy. She knew that they are stronger than most of the other kids in their age. But their parents thought that they still needed more control of the fox, chakra. Looking at his younger brother, she could see the results of their training in his build. Both got to harness to use 2 taels worth of Kyuubi's chakra. They also both possess the chakra chains their mother also possessed. He knew Menma was slightly stronger than her, though Shish-e got the edge on Menma in terms of sensory abilities, and she's got the finesse and wit, but she was not satisfied with just that. She wants to like her mother. Appearance-wise, they're practically the same. From the color of her hair and eyes, to the color of the skin. Menma on the other hand, got the hair of his father, and the eyes and skin color from their mother. They were both slightly taller than the kids their age. But she just added it in the results of their training. Speaking of height, Mito thought. His elder brother was still taller than both her and Menma. Maybe he's also training. It doesn't matter. He's still a weakling. Though she knew that it's not entirely his fault that he was too weak, Mito didn't bother giving some help. Lunch is done, Kushina called. Of course Menma replied automatically. Ramen addict idiot, Mito thought, rolling his eyes. Though she wouldn't deny that she loved ramen, she wouldn't love it in the same intensity like his younger brother and mother. As the three of them started eating, she sensed a presence on the front door. Naruto, Mito thought distastefully. TCH. What's wrong, Mito-ne? Don't tell me that you didn't like mom's ramen. He exclaimed, dramatically. Kushina looked at her, eyes widened in panic and mouth gaping. Mito rolled his eyes before replying, nah, I just sensed Naruto came in. And as usual he went straight to his room. Che, that loser. What about him? Menma replied, annoyed. Just got surprised by the amount of his chakra, not like us but still something. Mito admitted reluctantly, guess he's somewhere. HMPH. Doesn't change the fact that he's a weakling. His brother replied dismissively, that's why he's pranking the village to get some attention from mom and dad. Kids, don't pay attention to him. He's just an attention seeker. If he wants to be acknowledged, he better man up and straighten himself and stop his troublesome streak. It's only brought us shame. Kushina replied, agreeing with his youngest son. Mito just rolled her eyes but didn't answer and just continued eating. She knew that Naruto didn't really terrorizing the villagers but Menma. At first Menma received scolding every time he got caught as the perpetrator on some pranks. It changed, after the shouting that involved Naruto and her mother happened, Mito and Menma took their mother's side after that event. Menma got the bright idea of accusing Naruto every time he pranks the villagers. Of course, their parents completely bought it. Mito considered correcting that, but seeing Naruto not fighting back or refuting the claims, just answering with a nod of acknowledgement and retreating back to his room, she saw it as a weakness and didn't bother defending him. Line break. Daffy returned home spending the rest of the day in the newly discovered training ground 44. He had heard it before, he didn't put some thought about at first it was called, Forest of Death. But when he saw the wildlife that was occupying, he was surprised at first and thought that it was appropriately named, a bit dramatic nickname for a training ground though, Daffy thought, amused. Daffy approached the door and sensed that they were all in the living room. He went on his way to his room, not bothering announcing his presence, though he knew Mito knew that he arrived, she was a censor after all. He went straight to his room even though he knew Mito was watching him and entered his room. His conversation earlier with the old man Sandame still tickling at his mind. Something's missing. Old man saw. Nd Amy said that the fox was divided and sealed into Mito and Menma. Daffy thought, a deep frown etched on his face. I have a feeling back then that the fox's chakra was inside the broths. But why? Why did those insignificant idiots kept calling me a demon or a fox brat? Daffy ranted in his mind. He tried to remember what happened back the time of the sealing. Closing his eyes and concentrated, trying to remember all he saw, heard or felt back then. The only notable thing he remembered was the burning sensation he felt in his stomach. The only logical conclusion would be that a part of the fox was sealed inside me. Obviously not the chakra, but what? The body. He kept his eyes closed trying to find out other possible thing that was sealed inside him, though nothing else came to mind. It's the only reason I got. Those idiots kept calling me fox brat, so I guess I'll settle on that for now. TCH, this is increasingly irritating. Daffy got fed up and opened his eyes, though he didn't see his room, but a sewer-like system. He looked around and saw a number of giant pipes. All of it looked and felt the same, except one. He walked through the only unique-looking pipe. After a minute of wandering, his eyes saw an oversized prison bars, extending high above to the darkness. Seeing the large prison reinforced his conclusion earlier, he stopped a few meters away, grinning and waiting. He didn't have to wait long as a large claw burst from the prison bars, stopping a couple of feet away from his grinning visage. The claw retreated back inside and then a deep, gruff voice echoed inside. So, my jailer decides to grace me with his presence. What do you want? So, you are the Kyuubi, huh? Daffy said with a tone of curiosity. I heard lots of stories about you, but I didn't he big bad demon to be a huge ball of fluffy fur, heh. He finished, chuckling at his joke. The fox thrashed inside the cage angrily, willing to burn Daffy with his glare, though he kept laughing. I should kill you right now. But this damn seal, arg, I don't have time with this. So I'll question you again, what do you want? Kyuubi asked, patience already near its zero. Daffy stopped chuckling and answered, the grin still plastered in his face. Nothing, I'm just curious about you, and I thought to myself, why not ask the fox itself? So here I am, just wanna have a little see. Hat like old pals foo. Daffy said, amusement rolling off of him. But it brought an opposite reaction from the fox as it roared at Daffy, sending him out of his mindscape. The fox took a deep, calming breath. He thought about his jailer. He didn't know what to think about him. He felt the hate the brat possesses, enough to drown the world, surpassing his. But he knew he was genuinely interested to have a chat with him. Wanting to fill his curiosity, though his smile and laughter's very annoying and it's irritating my ears, Kyuubi felt the need to nap, feeling a migraine coming. Downstairs, the other occupants of the Namikaze household was startled badly as Naruto suddenly erupted in a fit of laughter. What the hell is that brat doing now? Kushina asked, clearly irate as the laughter ceased. I don't wanna know. The twins answered simultaneously. Minato just nodded. My heart stopped a moment there. Line break. October 10th. Months passed since his first visit to the fox, 8-year-old Daffy, deep in thought. As he walked toward TG-44. His proficiency with his strings now is superb. He felt like he's in his past life having a devil fruit, though without some of his more advanced techniques. He also gained a couple and a half inches in his height, now definitely a noticeable difference with the kids his age. Daffy also changed his clothing. He wore black, button-up, long-sleeved shirt, a yellow pants that reached only to his shins, designed with red tiger stripes horizontally, black pointed shoes, and an orange-tinted glasses. He got it as an early birthday present from the old man Hiruzen and Shisui. A new addition to his very small circle of friends, acquaintances. He met Shisui from one of his visits to the Sarutobi compound. A funny guy, Daffy thought, a wee. Come change from the constant negative reactions from his family, and from the villagers. He's quite a talkative guy compared to his clan members. He is also a great sparring partner. Daffy always want a sparring partner. He was very satisfied with his hard work, but also annoying from the constant barrage of questions about his strings. Shisui, besides the old man, knew about his strings and his other unique techniques rokushiki. The old man confessed that the two of them were watching him through the glass ball forgot what it's called, a couple of times. Daffy was mildly upset about the spying, but he trusts the old man. And he knew that he was also a great judge of character, so he decided to trust the Anbu. He only asked that they keep it a secret, ranting about people will start bothering him if they knew his rare abilities. 15 minutes passed and he reached his destination. Daffy decided to train most of the day instead of being cooped up at the Namikaze mansion. He knew today's his 8th birthday. But he also knew that they will only cater the twins. Leaping across the fence, he darted forwards, intent to play with the inhabitants. Hours passed. Daffy went back home and prepare for the party that will start in 2 hours. Taking his time, he looked around the village, looking at the several foreign merchants and checking their products. He was searching for a coat that he always wore back then. Disappointingly, he didn't find something remotely close to his favorite pink coat and decided to head home. After 10 minutes of walking, he reached the compound, and saw that there are already lots of visitors from various clans like the Sarutobi, Uchiha, Akamichi, Nara, Yamanaka, and the Hyuga. There's also a few civilian families and kids invited. He didn't paid attention to them and just went to his room to clean up. 45 minutes later, he came down wearing, this time, a white long-sleeve shirt, black pants and the same pointed, black shoes. He saw Shisui and Hiruzen in one corner with the addition of Itachi Ikea, renowned prodigy of the Uchiha clan, and decided to pass some time with them. Well, look who decided to grace us with his presence. Happy birthday, Naruto, greeted Shisui. Naruto grinned and nodded his reply. Hiruzen and Itachi also greeted the Naruto. As the celebration started, they moved away from the living room and went towards the dining table. Still having a clear view to the living room, where talked about mundane things, arguing about the most efficient way to eliminate all VIPs currently in attendance. In the middle of their talks, Minato called and attracted all of the attention. Good evening to all of you, and thank you for coming, celebrating with my children's birthday. Now, I have some announcements. Minato said, standing in front of the visitors with Kushina and Jiraiya at both of his sides. I know this is something I'll definitely enjoy, Naruto said with his usual wide grin. He leaned forward, propping his elbows and holding his hands together in front of his smile-wearing lips. You're really optimistic, Naruto, Shisui said sarcastically, rolling his eyes. Naruto just chuckled at his reply as Minato continued. Me, Kushina and Jiraiya-sensei have decided the Tomito and Menma signing the Toad contract. Minato announced as the guests clapped at the twins, both clearly vibrating with excitement at signing and having another lead against their supposedly weak elder brother, though the Aburame family clearly didn't have the same enthusiasm as the other guests. Wait kids. Don't freak out now. I have one more announcement that surely you both will enjoy with. Minato said teasingly. I'm declaring Menma as the next heir to the Namikaze clan and Mito, of course will the heiress of the Uzumaki clan. Congratulations Menma, Mito, finished Minato, looking unbothered of the consequences of his last announcement. Happy birthday. I love you both, Kushina cried, hugging both the twins. No one noticed Naruto silently leaving the compound after the announcement except Hiruzen, Shisui and Itachi, all wearing frowns of shock and disappointment. Naruto, Hiruzen whispered, then looked at Shisui, nodding sharply at his usual Anbu guard. Shisui, understanding what the former cage meant, also left the compound chasing after Naruto. His chase led him to the Forest of Death street, hopping at the sight of a destroyed fence before locking on to his chakra signature. He jogged after Naruto, though he couldn't see him, he knew he was just up ahead of him, when suddenly he was hit with an unfamiliar aura. Or energy that slightly disoriented him. Oversized insects fell from the trees, definitely unconscious, and the other predators also knocked out as he continued his way where he saw Naruto standing in the middle of a clearing, looking at the gloomy sky. All wildlife around him was knocked out. Naruto, I told you, Shisui. Naruto said, chuckling silently. I told you that I will really enjoy it. And guess what? They did it, they really did it. Just as I expected. Ha 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 ha. Shisui shivered at the sound of his hysterical laughter. He calmed down a moment later, his smile dimming before returning full force, accompanied by the veins bulging on his forehead. Who the hell are they to just throw me away like some expandable tool? Naruto shouted before taking a deep breath and forcing himself to calm down. Don't worry about me Shisui, they made their decision. You know me Shisui, I'm not someone who breaks down from some words. They took my clan title, I'll just aim higher. Hey, you really are something, Naruto. Shisui said. He was really amazed how strong the will Naruto possessed. They decided to head back but Shisui remembered something. Hey Naruto, the hell happened here? All these animals are knocked out. He asked. Huh, oh that, well that's, Naruto paused. Shisui leaned slightly, clearly intrigued. That's a secret hehehehe. Shisui face-faulted. He quickly got back up. Annoyed beyond belief. The hell kind of answer is that? You making fun of me? You wanna fight? Shisui yelled. Foo 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 foo. Nah, I'll tell you some other time, Saint don't felt like explaining it right now. Come on let's get back, I'm hungry. Naruto replied, his grin back, clearly amused. You're really annoying sometimes you know. Shisui said, pacifying his curiosity for now. They walked back silently to the Namikaze compound. Line break. Back at the mansion, Mito, Menma and Kushina were chatting with other mothers and kids around them while Minato, Jira, Iya and the other clan patriarchs when Menma remembered something. Where's Naruto anyway? Menma asked his mother, having forgotten their older sibling from all the excitement. Somewhere outside. Felt him moving away right after the announcement was made. Probably moping somewhere because of losing the position of being a clan heir. Mito replied dismissively. She perked up slightly. He's coming back. HMPH. That good-for-nothing brat, everything we gave to him, and he just give us headaches with his shameful antics. Kushina said, I know that the position of clan heir was always given to the eldest born child. But he's too irresponsible, too weak. He's not like his siblings. Look at these two, they're both genius, swimming through everything whatever Minato, Jiraiya-sensei and I teach these kids. And of course, they got my chains. I know you two will bring our clans back into glory. Kushina boasted. You got that right, love. Minato shouted somewhere with the other fathers. The mothers were chuckling softly at Kushina's ranting, amused by her antics. Suddenly the door opened and Naruto entered with Shisui jetting towards where the Sandaime and Itachi when Kushina called to his grinning son. Naruto, where have you been? Why did you left while we're celebrating your sibling's birthday? Kushina demanded. Maybe you were moping outside because you're sad losing the title. Well don't be, you know you don't have the potential to lead our clan back to greatness. You'll just drag it down with you leading it. So be thankful that your father and I ensured that our clan will grow strong even if the only thing you bring in this household was disappointment. She told mockingly, tinged by alcohol. Who, me, sad? Nah, I'm not sad. Who am I to change your decision? I'm not dictating what you do to your lives anyway. I'm just the black sheep in your family. And it's not like I'll be with you all when this clan reaches its greatness. In fact, I'll be gone first thing in the morning. Or, if you prefer, I'll be on my way later tonight. Naruto replied. Huh, what are you talking about? Minato questioned. Where are you going? He was met with silence, kids and adults watching the interaction between the family. After a moment, Naruto suddenly chuckled, unnerving all the other kids as he laughed with amusement. Minato was getting annoyed by the second and made to ask again when his son answered. Barely containing his laughter. You know, for the so-called the greatest Hokage and one of the best geniuses of Konoha, you really are an idiot. Fufufufufu. Naruto chuckled again. What do you think will happen to the original inheritor of the clan when he was removed from that position? Naruto asked, clearly amused. Kushina and Minato stiffened for a moment. Before fixing their resolve as Kushina replied. It means they will be removed from clan's registry and banishing from the clan. It also means that we are removing the stain in this household and stop all the shame you brought to us. I say good riddance. She answered expecting an outburst or some tears of sadness, but all she got was another fit of laughter. What do you mean? He asked with a fake innocence. Still wearing his wide grin. Do you perhaps expect me to cry or beg? Sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm feeling quite the opposite. I am very thankful for what you've done as you finally remove the last of the chains shackling me down in this household. Naruto said, then he started chuckling again though it sounded menacing this time. You've made your stance on your decision. You can't go back now. We have lots witnesses here, after all. I accept your decision completely and I will live tonight. But I have one thing to say to all of you and I want you all to carve this to your minds deep. Naruto paused for a moment, his smile completely disappearing. He leaned forward to his former family, Minato joining his wife to her side earlier, and suddenly all the people, his former family felt like insignificant in the presence of their former son, brother. Since you made your decision, don't you ever regret your choice. He turned back and made his way to his room, chuckling all the way. The sound of his laughter echoing through all the ears, especially to Minato and Kushina. Hiruzen said one last thing to the couple as he reached the couple. You really don't know what you've lost, Minato. Kushina. But as Naruto said, you made your stance in your decisions. But know this, all choices, whether good or bad, has consequences you will have to accept, whether you like it or not. He finished, not bothering to look at them as he went after Naruto. Kurama still don't know what to think about his warden. After Naruto's or Daffy's or whatever that ninja calls himself constant visits. He found that the brat was, at the very least, a tolerable company, if a bit annoying. The brat is interesting. Kurama's ability to sense negative emotions from another living being proved that the brat was full of bitterness, full of hate. He can safely say that the brat's hatred he carries is larger than his own. But Naruto didn't have any malice towards Kurama or to any other humans he associated with. He'll just walk in, wearing that damn smile of his, and start talking or bugging you with the most nonsensical of things. But the most intriguing about Naruto, throughout all of his visits in his mindscape, he never asks for his power. Kurama remembered that particular conversation about his chakra. Flashback. Footsteps roused him from his sleep. Kurama groaned knowing who it was. Though he was curious to what he was doing here this time. What do you want? Can't you see I'm sleeping? He asked. Kurama then rolled his eyes as Naruto overreacted as usual. Doing two different things at the same time. Daffy exclaimed, with fake surprised expression. You really are amazing, you know. Maybe that's why you are the strongest of the tailed beasts. Heh heh heh, he finished, laughing in his own joke. Kurama growled, but he forced himself to calm. What do you want? Kyuubi asked again, this time seriously. Naruto fell silent, taking note of the seriousness from the fox. Then he grinned but answered honestly. Nah, I thought you might want some company. He answered with a shrug. And I'm bored. Kurama stayed silent, observing him. He answered after a moment. You really are different from my past jailers. Even back when I'm still free, you're not like any other ninja I've encountered. You're not asking for my chakra. For someone who bears red that I am sure surpasses my own or any of the other Biju, someone who has dealt with a bad hand for 7 years, why not gain more power, take revenge at those who wronged you? Use my power, put them in their place. Kurama roared, trying to intimidate him. It didn't work. He just chuckled as usual. Heh heh heh, revenge. Why would I do that? Why go down the steps when there's still much more I can reach going higher? Naruto chuckled and Kyuubi just stared at him. Kyuubi understood what he said as Naruto continued, as for your chakra, I don't know, maybe in the future, I'll need it. It's not like I'm not using your chakra. I mean, I heal and recover faster even from Uzumaki standards, so I guess, for now you're my personal doctor. Ha 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 ha, what the hell did you just say? Kurama roared. Sorry, you really have a short temper you know, heh heh heh. Daffy said. But, you know, those who have power attract all kinds of people, be they your allies and enemies, so, till then, I know I'll be needing your help. So I want the two of us as partners in the future. He finished, disappearing from his mindscape without a smile, face fixed in a determined frown Kurama had ever seen in his face. TCH, Kurama said. Though in his mind, he knew and understand what he said. Power attracts people, regardless of their intentions. Hey, let's see what kind of mayhem you'll bring in this world. Kurama thought out loud, before closing returning to his sleep. Flashback end. Kurama was forced away from his thoughts as Naruto appeared. He saw what happened earlier and he highly intrigued of what he did back at the forest. Naruto, Kurama began. What the hell is that? He asked, bordering demanding. Oh, did I worry you? I know you're a big softy inside that big, bad fox image just like your fur heh heh heh. Naruto answered, chuckling. You know what I'm talking about. And you know I can easily snap your neck if it wasn't for this blasted seal, Kurama grumbled. Again, what was that? Back at the forest, Naruto fell silent for a moment, contemplating, before speaking, I'll tell you next time, or better yet, I'll show you next time. I know you wouldn't want spoilers for surprises now, would you? Hey, so what now? They finally removed the stain in their life. What are you gonna do now? He asked, curious of what his jailer will do next. Guess I'm gonna bunk with Shisui for now or maybe the old man can help. And I prefer this happened, so don't worry, Fluffy. Ha 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 ha, Daffy laughed succeeding in irritating his friend. I told you don't call me that, you brat. I swear, if I get out of this cage, Kurama grumbled, annoyed at the nickname he was given. Well, you wouldn't tell me your name. Daffy answered faking his anger before laughing again. Fluffy, you said you have a name. Fluffy. So, until you tell me your name, I'll call you Fluffy. Daffy said, laughing, highly entertained in Kyuubi's reactions. Shut up, Kurama roared in their telepathic connection. Before he sighed, names possess powers, and you're not ready to hear it. I'll tell you when it's time. Fine, what a grumpy fox. Naruto rumbled loud enough the fox to hear before he was forcefully removed from his mindscape, his laughter echoing in the sewer. TCH. Line break. Daffy just finished packing as the door opened. Kushina entered the room, her face void of emotion. She looked at Naruto before breaking the silence. You're really leaving, huh? A statement. You think someone weak like you can survive out there? Without us? She mocked. We did all those things for you. You know, but you just give us shame and disappointment. We did all of it for you to be humbled, but you're too stubborn. You forced us to disown you. We didn't focused, training your siblings just because we favored them over you. Minato and Jiraiya entered the room as she continued. We did this because they need to control the demon's power, you know it's dangerous. And they have a burden much larger than anything. They needed to be strong to save the world or all of us dies. But you let your pettiness and jealousy drive you, so I think you understand now as we part ways. But Naruto just looked confused about the save the world part. Jiraiya explained, according to the Elder Toad's vision, a child of the Yellow Flash and the Red Death would use powers never seen before to stop an evil that would inevitably return and bring a new era of peace or the world will burn. Jiraiya immediately assumed it was either Menma or Mito as they possessed the chakra of the Kyuubi. His reasoning, that the former Jinchurikis Kushina and Mito didn't get the chance of fully used Kyuubi's chakra, with Mito Uzumaki only suppressed it inside her and Kushina only used a small amount of its chakra. There is no doubt in our minds that either Mito or Menma will be the child of prophecy that was envisioned by the Elder Toad. The twins will need 100% of our time and attention so that neither of them waver in the path of peace. And if you need to be sacrificed, for the sake of achieving peace, then so be it. Jiraiya brutally explained his thought with Minato and Kushina looking determinedly and resolutely. Outside the room, Hiruzen leaned against the wall, shaking his head. He got a feeling they will confront Naruto, and he was really disappointed to his student and to the couple. But he snorted inside his head as Naruto just chuckled, as he expected. What are you laughing about? You dare mock our dreams? Jiraiya exclaimed. Peace is what he dreamt for all of his life. He was tired of the wars and betrayals he endured all his life, and when the toads told him of the vision, he immediately took it, as his hope grew. Minato and Kushina grew angry as well. They both lost their family at a young age due to war and hate. Fufufufu. An admirable dream, if a bit naive. So, Jiraiya-sama, you felt great right now, I'm sure. Like a god's messenger to the humanity, heh. Daffy got pooched in the stomach by Jiraiya, but he didn't mind. But I will ask you all a question. He paused. What? Minato asked impatiently. Do you really think that eating someone will make the world so peaceful like you dreamt of? Do you think humans will stop getting what they want even after all is said and done? Do you think you can suppress each and every human's instinct and desire? Daffy asked seriously. Then he started laughing. Human instincts and their will to live. It is and will always be part of humanity. You cannot deny and change that. People live how they want because they own their lives. If they want peace, they will find a way to have it just like you. But the same can be said for hatred and war. If people want to wage war just to get what they want, they'll do it. You can't stop it, nothing will. Wars will always happen, not only because of reasons behind, but because deep down they want it. They want more power, influence, resources, wealth or fame. The things humans always want to have. Why do they want that? I don't know and I don't care. I am my own person, I will make my way in this world in my own terms. He stopped his speech and took a deep breath. His listeners looking at him, wide-eyed. Kushina found her voice after a moment of silence, albeit stuttering slightly. SOW what? What's wrong to stop wars? You're just a selfish child, a disappointment. A weak and a failure. What can you do? Daffy didn't hesitate to reply, what is to fear about death? Or better yet, what is it you fear about fear itself? What are you talking about? Of course you don't know. You're just wrong. Jiraiya was cut off as Naruto spoke again. You think fear only brings something negative. Fear is only a trial. A test of the world to see if you have the will to step forward despite the obstacles you face or give up and just die. He said seriously, then laughed at Jiraiya's dumbfounded look. For someone who was named as a sage, you really are naive and a moron. Naruto shook his head. You know what? I'm done. I'm just gonna go my way and never bother you. I have better things to do than to listen to your ramblings of righteousness. Naruto finished then walked away. He stopped as hear Kushina, her eyes staring at his back with a cold glare. Fine, if that's what you really want, then get the hell out of here. Naruto didn't answer, just walked through the door. He walked out giving Hiruzen a nod of acknowledgement. Kushina just scoffed, though a part of her as a mother knew that her choice was wrong, but the clan's matriarch side convinced her that this is the best choice she made, whispering that it was for the good of the clan. Jiraiya couldn't care less, believing this is the course of action to achieve peace. Though Naruto's words kept swirling inside his head. Minato as well, though he hoped that his son would forgive them after this is all over. Hiruzen just looked at Naruto sadly, hoping that even though the world was against him, the boy would not stray to the path of darkness. Finally, it's time, Daffy thought. A month passed since the birthday, and Daffy now is preparing for the first day of the school year. He walked out of his new home, an apartment he bought with the help of Old Man Third, and went to the academy. He is wearing a white, long-sleeved shirt, black pants with red stripes and black pointed shoes. Of course his orange-tinted sunglasses always makes an appearance. He arrived at the school and went to the bulletin board, finding his name, and went straight to the designated room. There are a few students already, mostly from civilian families. He chose his seat in the highest seat, right beside the window. 10 minutes passed and the room now was full. He looked around and he saw most of them belong to a ninja clans, as well as his former siblings. A minute later, their teacher, Yumino Iruka, entered and starts a roll call of names. The class started with a sparring session between students. The matches were boring, only a few were entertaining, like the match with Mito against Satsuki Uchiha and Menma's match against the kid from the Inuzuka clan, Kiba. Sasuke Uchiha, you are next. Daffy heard the instructor. He was slightly curious about this kid. He heard from Shisui that they're both in the same boat, though not on the same extent with Daffy. Your opponent will Naruto Uzumaki. Not bothered by the whispers and jeers to him, he walked towards the stage, hands in his pockets and grinning along the way. Line break. Sasuke took the time to observe Naruto while waiting for him at the stage. He was awed. He was raising his feet too high than normal, hands in the pockets, and his grin was a bit unnerving. He thought that he might some few screws loose. No, scratch that, might be a few screws missing. Sasuke thought flatly. Of course he knew Naruto. Not personally, but he heard him nonetheless, especially after that disastrous event a month ago. He understand Naruto's feeling a bit. Sasuke didn't get an acknowledgement from his father, always Satsuki. Though he was getting emotional support from his mother, it still felt frustrating that his father didn't even glance at him. He shook his head as the match was about to start. Bowing to each other, the teacher began the match. Sasuke moved to his clan's taijutsu-style stance. Naruto just stood there, slightly hunched. Hands still in pockets, like he was not worthy of his hands, and that grin, aimed at him like he was mocking him. Seeing no movement from Naruto, Sasuke surged forward, aiming a kick to his head. Naruto evaded, weaving through the follow-ups of punches and kicks. Sasuke stopped his assault as Naruto leapt backwards, hands and that grin still in their respective places. He caught the sight of his twin looking at him slightly disappointed at the performance. Sasuke saw red. He attacked with a battle cry, aiming to land a punch on that damn smile, when he felt pain. The next thing he felt was pain in his stomach. He was clutching his stomach, and looked up seeing Naruto lowering his leg. A knee to my stomach, Sasuke thought. Only one hit and I'm done. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki, Iruka declared. Sasuke went back to his seat, contemplating on how fast it happened. He heard her sister commenting on how pathetic his performance, claiming that he'll never reach her level, let alone being acknowledged as an Uchiha. He clenched his fist, burning holes at the desk with his glare. Someday, you'll regret that and acknowledge me worthy of the name Uchiha. He thought, imagining his father looking at him disappointingly. Line break. Daffy made his way to his former hunting grounds where usually eat his kills. He decided to pass the time there as both the old man and Shisui were busy right now. 1. He arrived after 10 minutes of walking only to find the place occupied. He found a boy doing some taijutsu katas. He was older by a year or two from his estimation. A bowl-cut hair, large caterpillar-like eyebrows and black perfectly round eyes. Though his choice of clothing was a little odd, he decided to focus on other things than his clothes as the boy noticed his presence. Ah, hello, my friend, may I ask what is it that you need? The boy asked politely. Oh, nothing, just wandering around. Don't let me stop you from your training, replied Daffy. Ah, where are my manners? My name's Naruto, by the way, and you are? Daffy trailed off. My name is Rock Lee. So, what are you doing here? The boy named Rock Lee asked. Just passing some time. What are you doing here, anyways? Daffy replied. I am training, Lee said with such passion. I am aiming to perfect the Goken Taijutsu style and become the best ninja I can be. Lee exclaimed, his eyes literally on fire. Ho, that's admirable, but what do you mean, as you can be? That, well, doctor said that I have something wrong in my chakra coils, that I can't use any ninjutsu or genjutsu. But I still want to be a ninja. He clenched his fist. I will become a great ninja someday. Even if taijutsu is the only way I can manage, then so be it. I'll show them the fruits of my hard work. Daffy was silent, looking at Lee intensely through his sunglasses. What do you say about a spar? Daffy almost regretted asking as he could see Lee's eyes literally sparkled at the thought as he accepted his proposal. They sparred for an hour and a half, spending the rest of time to rest just chat with each other, giving compliments and advices from the spar, and made some small talk. Daffy suddenly brought a pencil and a paper. Writing something. Lee looked confusedly as Daffy gave him the paper and he explained. You're strong, Lee. Your will to achieve your dreams is admirable. Those are so many of my techniques that will be perfect for you. I know you'll master it in no time. With the way you train, I don't doubt it. It will give you the edge here being a ninja only using taijutsu. Lee read what was written in the paper. Rankyaku and Tekai, including the functions and how to train said techniques. Lee couldn't help but be amazed, especially when he saw the demonstration from Daffy. Thank you, Naruto-san. I promise I won't let you down. I will be forever grateful to you. Lee exclaimed, tears comically falling from his eyes. Daffy's sweat dropped, then asked, just keep it a secret that you got it from me, all right? Of course, you will not regret it. Lee and Daffy parted ways as the sun sets, agreeing to meet every weekends on the clearing to train. Daffy was satisfied today. Sparring with Lee in pure taijutsu was fun. Lee has potential. He knew Lee would become one of the strongest ninja in the village, regardless of his handicap. Lee was loyal, easily giving his trust to someone. Though Daffy wouldn't use that trust, he would return that trust in full because he thought that Lee was a bit like his friend, Virgo. A loud, boisterous Virgo, Daffy chuckled at the thought. He arrived at his apartment, preparing to sleep. He couldn't wait to graduate to become a ninja, but he knew he would not rush it, he has plenty of time. As he laid at his bed, Daffy thought about his goals. Thoughts of a monument and a hat appeared in his mind, and he grinned. Line break. 6 years passed. A lot has happened. Daffy thought about the things happened during that time frame. His frequent spars with Lee was productive. Especially for Lee. He improved drastically since they met, but he also talked about Lee's team leader, Meta Guy. Daffy didn't know if he should be upset or happy. Happy because he helped Lee inspire to pursue his dream, but also upset that he influenced Lee with that horrendous outfit and screams and yells about youth. Daffy also taught him the rest of the Rokushiki. Lee was happy, though not as enthusiastic about Shigen, though he persuaded him to learn it, saying that killing will be a part of him the moment he donned his Hitai-8. Lee accepted it. Daffy couldn't care less about Lee's innocence. He prefers him alive than dead. He was his first friend and become a part of his family after all. Speaking of family, Daffy thought sadly. Shisui. He thought of his first friend. Shisui was killed by Danzo before the Uchiha massacre. Daffy was slightly upset as he didn't got a shot against Danzo, though he took comfort of him being brought to justice. Though it still didn't stop the massacre, as the elders and the clan head of the Uchiha clan was locked in staging a coup against the current government power. Itachi volunteered for an S-ranked mission. The eradication of his own clan, on the condition of sparing his twin siblings. As he thought about the twins, he chuckled as he remembered Mito and Menma. The looks on their faces was downry. GHT amusing when he earned the top rankings in the academy. Some of his classmates kept muttering about him cheating. They're just idiots. For a school producing assassins, the instructors were soft on these kids, Daffy thought. He was currently eating his breakfast when he felt the old man approaching. He quickly finished his breakfast, ready for the graduation later. As he went outside, he saw Hiruzen approaching, and greeted him. You really are getting old, you know. You kept me waiting here for ages. I really think you should get a cane or a wheelchair, old man. Heh heh heh, Daffy chuckled. HMPH, after all this time. You still lack manners. Maybe I should teach you a lesson or two, seeing that you've made zero improvements in that department. Hiruzen threatened jokingly. So, are you nervous about your becoming a ninja, Naruto? TCH, who do you think am I, old man? I'm more than ready, old man. You know that better than anyone else. Daffy replied, annoyed at the old man. Don't worry about me, old man. Worry about yourself. Here, let me buy you something that'll your old bones. Heh heh heh, Daffy quipped. What do you need, anyway? He asked. Ah, I'm one of the examiners for the graduation later. Hiruzen answered. Say, who do you want as your teammates? Well, I don't have anyone I prefer, I can team up with whoever the Hokage assigned me with. And I can adapt, you know. Ninjas always adapt. If I can't, I'd be dead not even reaching the Chunin exams. Daffy answered. Hiruzen just hummed in approval. 15 minutes of walk, they arrived at the school and parted ways. Line break. Mito and Menma arrived early at the academy, quite excited for the graduation. As a mark of their first step to being ninjas, they got new style of clothing. Mito got the Sam E clothes Android 18 wore in top but black with red. Menma wore Naruto's Shippuden outfit. He saw his classmates excited as well, some of them are nervous mixed up. Menma was happy that he would ally graduate and leave this insane asylum called academy. Don't get him wrong, he had fun through the 6 years he spent with his classmates. He made lots of friends, he also executed lots of pranks with them. Mito also was excited, though she hid it well. She was currently sitting with her female friends, with Ino, Sakura, Hinata, and Satsuki. Ino and Sakura was, as always, arguing about who have Sasuke in their team, as he was currently one of the top students, as well as his handsome face, according to the two bickering girls. Seeing there is some time to kill before the graduation exam starts, she decided to talk with Satsuki. Nay, Satsuki, who do you think you want as your teammates? Well, my brother, of course, answered Satsuki coolly. Then she noticed the stare she got from Mito. Don't look at me like that. And I know I'm not the best sister to him all the time, of course I love my brother, but I also love my clan, so it's disappointing to see him so weak. But now, after what And I realized how to value family, especially Sasuke is the only one I have now. So I'm concerned about his mentality. He's too obsessed about she finished weakly, not wanting to remember that particular night. Sorry about that, I didn't mean to. It's okay, she murmured quietly. The abrupt opening of the doors jolted both of them at their seats as Naruto entered. He wore Daffy's canon outfit but black top, plus a mesh undershirt. TCH, Mito muttered. She was annoyed, not at Naruto unlike the early years, but the reminder that she failed to achieve being the top student. Satsuki looked at Mito. You really hate him, huh? Satsuki said. Your brother, I mean. Mito was silent for a moment. No, I'm just annoyed you didn't get the rookie award. I mean, I hate weakness, but I didn't know Naruto is this strong. Mito said quietly. I guess he gave up on mom and dad about the training stuff, and he didn't bother showing us his strength. I think he hates our pa. Rents that he came to a conclusion that they will only claim that Naruto grew powerful due to their training. I see. I'd be upset too, Your strength you gained by yourself and I'm not the one acknowledged, that was upsetting. Really? Satsuki replied. Just be glad he didn't turn like my brother right now, though Mito. What do you mean? Mito asked. She means that Naruto didn't let his hatred fuel him. I'm sure he has it held within him, but he didn't give in. He's strong, and I'm not talking about his abilities. Though mom and dad didn't show it, but I know that they feel proud and sad about Naruto. Menma said as he approached the two. Well, why don't you say sorry? Satsuki asked innocently. We'll see. If he proved that he's stronger than me, I may consider that. Menma said, quite sure of his strength. Iruka entered a moment later, stating to them about the exams and wishing them luck. Line break. Today is the team placements. Mito just dozed off, as Iruka congratulated them and gave them a long drawl of speech about what to expect as a ninja and carrying the Hittite proudly. Mito didn't bother to listen, waiting for their team placements. Team 7, Mito Uzumaki Namikaze, Menma Namikaze and Satsuki Uchiha. Mito perked up. Your team sensei will be Junin Kushina Namikaze. Mito was happy she was with her brother and her mother as their sensei. She was also happy that she was with Satsuki. Team 8, Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga and Kiba Inuzuka. Your sensei will be Junin Kurenai Uehi. Team 9 is still active. Team 10, Choji Akamichi, Ino Yamanaka and Shikamaru Nara. Your sensei will be Junin Asuma Sarurobi. Iruka ignored Ino's outburst of complaints, as he continued, though his eye is twitching slightly. Team 11, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno. Again he ignored another outburst. This time something about love, as he continued, and Naruto Uzumaki. Your sensei will be Junin Kakashi Hatake. You all will wait for your senseis here. Again congratulations to all of you and good luck. Iruka finished as he walked of the classroom. Line break. Kakashi was amused, if not a bit tired, as he listened to Kushina, who was currently muttering a boo. How fun it will be with her children in her team as they walk towards the academy. He looked at her, hearing bits and pieces of her mumblings and sweat dropping slightly at her childish attitude. Kushina-san, how's the twins' progress in their training? Kakashi asked. They're doing great, they already know the Rasengan. Though it's a bit slow when they create it, but it still packs power, TTE Bane. She exclaimed, unconsciously blurting out her verbal tick. Kakashi slightly widened his eyes. He knew the twins inherited their father's smarts, but he didn't expect they can already create the Rasengan. Sounds like you've got great ninjas in the making, especially when Satsuki managed to awaken her Sharingan. Kakashi commented. Of course, how can you doubt them? Kushina exclaimed. Then she continued lightly. I just wished Naruto was part of it. But I guess it doesn't matter now. He made his decision. I'm just trying to explain the gravity his siblings carry. It's the world that was at stake. How can he be so selfish like that when all he did was give us shame and disappointment? Kakashi frowned behind his mask. Though he didn't comment about it. Well, I'm surprised. Naruto claimed the Rookie of the Year title. I guess I have my own bundle of work too, I suppose. Kakashi said. What do you mean? Asked Kushina confused. Well, I also have Sasuke. I heard he trains hard because of you-know-what. And then I have that girl Sakura. She's smart. She may lack in strength, for now, but according to her files, she possessed great chakra control. She can be a genjutsu practitioner or a medic nin. Lastly, and as I said, Naruto claimed the Rodi title. I bet he'll show me some surprises at my bell exam. HMPH. I bet it's just a fluke. Kushina exclaimed angrily, th. How she looked rather a child with her angry pout. Kakashi's sweat dropped again as she looked at her, and decided not to comment, letting the silence reign. They arrived a couple of minutes later and saw their respective students. Kakashi observed his assigned members to his team. The girl, Sakura, was chatting with the other girls while Sasuke was just looking at the window. Naruto, on the other hand, was looking at him grinning. Hands behind his head and his feet on the desk. He heard Kushina call her team and disappearing, flickering out of existence. He observed his team a bit longer before he speak. You guys are lame, he said, lamely as well. He looked at their reactions. The girl shrieked indignantly, Sasuke just glared at him and Naruto grinned, a bit wider this time. Come meet me on the roof in 10. Line break. They arrived in 5 at the rooftop, seeing Kakashi leaning on the rails. Sasuke sit beside Sakura, who was restraining herself to burst with proclamations of love, and to sit as far away from Naruto as possible. Kakashi clapped his hands. So, to start, how about some introductions? Introductions. Sakura started confusedly. You know, say something about yourself. Likes, dislikes, something like that, Kakashi said. I'll start. As you know by now, I'm Kakashi Hatake, currently serving as a Junin here. I have a few likes and dislikes. Hobbies, well, I don't think it's appropriate to you right now. For dreams, now that I think about it, I really didn't think about it. I smiled, scratching his head. Sasuke and Sakura just sweat dropped, thinking about learning only his name, while Naruto chuckled. Why don't you start, Pinky? Sakura glared at the nickname before starting. I'm Sakura Haruno. As for my likes, she glanced at Sasuke, said boy rolled his eyes unnoticed. My hobbies is reading. As for my dream, well, glancing pointedly at Sasuke again, who shivered this time. And I hate Ino Pig. Okay, Kakashi said, sweat dropping at the outburst. Great, a fangirl, he groaned inside. How about you, Smiley? Naruto perked up, then tilted his head on one side, grinning. Me, I am Naruto Uzumaki, of course. I'm not sure about telling you my likes, I'm a bit shy, you know. Heh, though his expression tells the opposite. I have a few hobbies. Like watching Iruka-sensei draw on his lectures, and how dangerous it is against enemies. He looked at his teammates. You two should know how boring it is. Heh. Sakura laughed nervously. Sasuke just deadpanned at him and Kakashi sweat dropped. As for dislikes, his smile disappeared, face void of emotion. A moment later his smile returned wider, accompanied by the bulging veins on his forehead. Sasuke and Sakura both torn about knowing and not knowing what gained such hatred from the ever-smiling boy. Monkeys, Naruto hissed. Sasuke almost fell on his face, though Sakura did. Naruto's smile returned to normal. As for my dreams, he said seriously, pausing for a moment. Sasuke, Sakura and even Kakashi leaned forward, to know his dream from the serious-looking blonde right now. Suddenly, Naruto wears his usual grin. That's a secret, ha, he cackled like a madman, falling on his back and his legs kicking the air as his teammates face-planted this time. Both of them looked ready to kill Naruto, visibly fuming at how red their faces as Kakashi laughed unsurely. Though his twitched slightly, after things calmed down a bit, Kakashi called Sasuke for his turn. Sasuke Uchiha, I don't many things I like and I have a lot of things I dislike. Training is my hobby, and I don't have a dream. I have an ambition, and that is to kill a certain man and restore my clan back into greatness. He said in a flat voice. So I have a fangirl, a slightly insane kid, and a broody who's obsessed in killing his brother. Great, really what I expected as a Junin sensei. Kakashi thought sarcastically. He then explained their survival exam for tomorrow, explaining to Sakura that the purpose of the exam they took at the academy was to weed out the kids that has a less chance of becoming a ninja. After that, Sasuke just up and left the rooftop, ignoring Sakura's usual attempt for asking dates and Naruto's stare. Though if he paid for a single second, he would have seen Naruto's blank face and gaze aimed at his head. Kids with candies, Daffy grumbled inwardly. Tired from another tirade of games from the brats at the orphanage. At least Shizuka's happy, Daffy thought with a small smile as he entered his apartment. He thought about Shizuka, the kid that Shisui entrusted to him if something happens to him. He remembered the day Shisui asking him to take care Shizuka, saying that something big will happen and him not surviving. A couple of days after that conversation, Shisui died. Daffy immediately went to the old man, demanding what happened to Shisui. The old man answered honestly, about the coup, Shisui and Itachi spying for them. And Shisui's plan of putting the Uchiha elders in a powerful genjutsu. He spoke about his death at the hands of Danzo, almost stealing his eyes if not for Itachi, stopping him and apprehending him for crimes of assaulting a ninja of their own. Daffy stormed out of the Sarutobi compound, his haki flaring, disorienting civilians and the few ANBUs patrolling near him, and went to the Forest of Death to vent. Later that night, he saw Itachi approached. He informed Daffy of the plan of killing the clan, asking him to keep Shizuka out of the compound for the day, as requested by Shisui. Daffy accepted, keeping the promise he vowed to Shisui. Daffy took her to the orphanage after staying a week on his apartment. 3 years since that day, he always keep visiting her 4 days a week, getting a coup. Ainted with caretaker and the big brother of the other kids. More like their plaything, Daffy thought. He shook his head, getting ready to sleep. He still has a test tomorrow. Line break. Satsuki W. watched as his twin entered in their rented 2-bed apartment. They decided that they rather buy an apartment as the compound was too painful to look at. It's not like money is a problem for the both of them, as their parents have a substantial amount of money left, enough to support for the next 20 years. They sat in silence, watching TV, before Satsuki broke the silence. So how's your team? She asked curiously. HN. Satsuki sighed sadly. She knew her brother holds some hatred against her. Years of belittling him sure etched to his mind. Satsuki regretted it. Still is, after her clan was reduced to near extinction. She's lucky that Sasuke accepted the idea of living in an apartment instead of living in their home. She thought about her team, sad thought moved aside. Satsuki is excited to work with the twins. She knew they were strong, trained by 3 S-rank ninjas. She can only do her best to keep up with them. She admit that they were better than her, even if only a bit, though she wouldn't admit it out loud. The silence is awkward, though Satsuki knew she's the only one who feel it. She thought of asking her brother some small talk but quickly discarding the thought. She knows her twin walks on a dangerous path, but she doesn't know how to pull him out of being an Avenger, let alone help him. She stood up before addressing Sasuke. I'm gonna sleep now. If you want to eat, there's food I left on the table. Though it's cold now, so just reheat it if you want. Going to bed now. Only a nod was her answer. She decided to sleep early. There's still so many things she wanted to ask to her brother, but she put those aside for now. She need to prepare for the test tomorrow, a step closer to his older brother. A step to know why. Line break. Kakashi arrived at TG7, earlier than his usual, 3 hours late at everything, routine. Not because he was eager to test his team, though a small part of him is, but because his sensei threatened to burn all his treasured books if he's late for the reports after the test. He saw his students mulling around on their own little world. Sakura is reading a book about medical plants, Sasuke's brooding as usual, and Naruto was throwing small pebbles at a worm, grinning madly. Like he was throwing pebbles at someone he truly hated. Naruto turned his head slightly at Kakashi, noticing his arrival. Yo! Kakashi greeted and received, good morning, from Sakura. A grunt from Sasuke, and a chuckle from Naruto. You're early than usual. Rumors said you're always late at everything, even for your funeral. Is that true? You being late at your funeral? Heh heh heh, Naruto asked, clearly entertained. Kakashi's eye twitched. As you can see, I'm very much alive, thank you very much. He supposed he should stop being late to usual appointments, he thought. He pulled an alarm clock and 2 bells, putting them at the post and to his waist respectively. Kakashi explained the bell test, saying that they need to get the bells before noon. Though he knew this test was for formality, as the Hokage said that the council's incessant pestering that they pass the 2 remaining Uchiha, and also concerning of Sasuke's mentality if they failed, he knows Sasuke will leave the village. With the possibility of leaving the village. So come at me with the intent to kill if you wish to pass. Kakashi said, but sensei, what if you get hurt? Sakura cried out, don't worry, Sakura, he's a Junin, and even if we accidentally killed him, he'd be late passing on to heaven or hell, as usual, and there would be plenty of time to revive him hehehe. Naruto joked. Sakura forgot her worries, biting her lip to stop bursting out of laughter, and Sasuke covered his laughter with cough. Right, Kakashi began, eye twitching violently. Begin. Sakura and Sasuke jumped onto the forest, probably planning on their own to get a bell, with still standing in front of him, hands in his pockets and grinning as usual. The bell test. Clever, very clever. Naruto said knowingly. So he already knows the meaning behind the test. Kakashi thought, I can just sit here and for the two to show up, you know. But that'd be boring. Why don't we do some thing that would prevent us dying from boredom, Naruto didn't wait for an answer as he dashed forward. Kakashi raised his guard. Despite not receiving training from his parents, he knew he didn't get the rookie title just by fooling around. Naruto threw a kick to his side, with Kakashi blocking it with his left arm, reeling a bit as he didn't expect the power from the kick. He grabbed his leg, before he could attack his second one and threw him across the field. Kakashi saw something unusual. Some force held Naruto before he hit the ground, allowing him to land on his feet. He doesn't know how he did that. And he didn't have time to think about it as Naruto rocketed towards him again. At the last moment, Kakashi crouched down, planting his right hand on the ground, used both feet to kick Naruto on his stomach. His plan didn't work again, as Naruto floated away, as if drifting with the wind. Naruto delivered a kick to his back. Thinking quickly, Kakashi pushed his right hand, evading the kick and landing on his feet. Both stopped, and Kakashi took the time to observe his student as he landed softly on the ground. He thought of using his Sharingan to see how Naruto seemingly float in the air, but decided not to. As Naruto spoke, as expected of the star student of the Hokage, and the son of the White Fang. You really are strong, an elite Chunin. Naruto grinned, seemingly satisfied after the short bout. Oh, you've heard of my father. Old man Sandaime told stories about your who was said to be a candidate for the position of Hokage. It's a shame that the village is full of idiots, even back then. Naruto said, his grin smaller than usual, no doubt at the dislike to the villagers. Ah, Kakashi muttered. Well, you're definitely strong, as expected of the Rookie of the Year. He complimented lightly, relaxing his stance. I guess you already know about the purpose of the exam, right? He asked quietly. Well, the old man kept babbling about his ancient stories Abu the Shodai and Nadaime teaching him and his teammates about teamwork. Said it will be the foundation of the ninjas of Konoha. Naruto replied, can you wait for some time? I'm gonna test your teammates as well. It's not like you'll fail us, what with the old fossils at the council hounding you if you did. But, it'd be boring whatever. I'm just gonna find that worm again. Naruto replied, shrugging. Kakashi's sweat dropped, seeing that malevolent grin at the thought of the worm again. Right, Kakashi said as he went into the woods. He thought about Naruto. He was good, better than most genin he saw. He is sure he can fight some of the Chunin, and maybe some Junin as he felt he was hiding his full strength. He looked around for a moment, before noticing some ninja wires. He decided to play the trap. Kunai's launched towards him, assuming this was Sasuke's handiwork. He substituted with a log, not wanting to be a pin cushion, and ducking as Sasuke surged towards him with a kick. Kakashi evaded, and they engaged in a bout of taijutsu. Sasuke broke away, going through a series of hand signs, a fireball, Kakashi thought. Fire release, fireball jutsu. Sasuke threw the Uchiha clan's signature technique. Sasuke expected a burnt body or a log, but nothing remained. He kept his guard expecting an attack. Where is he? Behind, or maybe from above, below. Kakashi dragged him to the ground, only his was seen. Earth release, double suicide decapitation technique. He said calmly, you're good, Sasuke. You could have been the rookie this year, but, well, there's Naruto. Kakashi said, taunting him lightly. Yane. He gave him a two-fingered salute and disappeared in a body flicker. Line break. Daffy woke up at the sound of the alarm clock blaring. He stood up and saw Kakashi and his teammates walking to the post near him. So, how'd they do? Daffy asked. They failed, Kakashi simply said. Sakura lowered her head and Sasuke clenched his fists, clearly upset. You failed, Kakashi repeated. You failed to grasp the meaning of the test. What meaning? Sasuke asked, annoyed. Teamwork, teamwork, what do you mean, sensei? Sakura asked. You're supposed to work together to get the bells, you know. Kakashi answered. But you said whoever gets a bell passes this exam. Sasuke argued. And you're supposed to keep your personal interest to accomplish the objective. And did you really think you could beat me, an experienced Junin, who was serving for years before you were even born? He questioned rhetorically. He walked towards the memorial stone. Someone once said to me that those who abandon the rules are trash, and I can't deny that, but those who abandon their comrades are lower than trash. Kakashi said, meet me here tomorrow 8 in the morning. Why you mean, we passed? Sakura asked confused. Kakashi nodded. Luckily, Naruto learned the meaning of the exam. Kakashi vanished as both Sasuke and Sakura heaved a sigh of relief. Dismissed. Well, see you tomorrow, you two. Daffy said to the two, but he was stopped by Sakura. Would you like to eat in a restaurant? S3, I mean. Like celebrating as a new team? She asked hopefully. Sasuke looked ready to deny, but he shrugged. I guess I have some free time now. This sounds fun, so why not? Daffy said, grinning. They arrived in a restaurant and ordered. They talked about themselves, with Sakura as the main chatter and, for once, not proclaiming her love to Sasuke. Sasuke himself looked comfortable, the most relaxed Daffy had ever seen Sasuke since the massacre. After their meal, He decided to head when a thought came to Daffy. Sasuke, you have some time. I'm gonna introduce to you to someone, and she's been dying to meet you, you know. Daffy said, grinning. He knew his DS would elicit a reaction from the pink-haired girl, and he was not disappointed. Who is she? Sakura demanded. Still grinning, he replied, if you wanna know, you can come with us. I'm sure Sasuke would like her once they meet. Heh. Sakura grabbed Sasuke's arm dragging him, telling Naruto to move. Sasuke, on the other hand, looked at Naruto as if willing to burn him alive as Naruto was clearly enjoying his plight. Don't look at me like that, Sasuke. All I can say is not all of it is lost. Daffy replied as he began to lead them in front. You better make this trip worth my time, Blondie. Sasuke said, confused at the last part of his statement. After a 10-minute walk, they arrived at the orphanage. They waited for a moment as Naruto knocked on the door. Sounds of a pair of EET running could be heard from the other side of the door, and as Naruto opened it, a black blur hit him on his stomach, dramatically falling to his knees, clutching his stomach as if he was in pain. Oi, that hurt, you know, Shizuka? Naruto asked. Well, you didn't visit earlier like usual, Naruto. Only Konohamaru did. Shizuka whined. Sorry, but I have news. I'm a genin now, Naruto exclaimed, opening his arms wide. Oi Naruto, who's this? Sasuke asked. Shizuka finally saw Naruto's companions this time. Oh, this is my teammates. The pink-haired one is Sakura, and the black-haired boy is Sasuke. Who you said that you really wanted to meet? Sakura, Sasuke, this is Shizuka Uchiha. He said, smirking knowingly at Sasuke. Sasuke just stared at the girl, who couldn't be older than 10. Black hair and eyes. The usual physical appearance of an Uchiha, but something nagged at the back of his head at the hairstyle and facial structure of the girl, though he couldn't pinpoint who. They just stared at one another. Sakura's greeting was ignored, and after a minute of their pseudo-contest, the girl broke the silence. Duckhead, Shizuka blurted out, before covering her mouth. Naruto laughed like a madman. Enjoying Sasuke's face twisted at the unintentional insult, and Sakura was torn about laughing and shouting at the girl. So she decided to stay quiet and bit her lip. Sass. Yuke's eyebrow is twitching uncontrollably, glaring at the brat that insulted him. Though inside he was frozen, he didn't expect this and Naruto's words made sense now. Not all is lost. He finally found back his voice. What did you say? Sasuke ground out. Here he was, happy to see that their blood still alive, besides his sister, but all he got was an insult from a girl who was profusely apologizing, telling him she didn't mean it. Fine, apology accepted, Sasuke said. Squirt. Thank YWHO are you calling a squirt, UDUCKBUTT? Shizuka roared all the while Naruto enjoying the banter and Sakura, not able to hold back the floodgates anymore, burst in a fit of giggles as well. Sasuke wanted to be annoyed, if not for the girl insulting him but on his two teammates filling their fun. But he couldn't, as he was too happy to have more family, that he wouldn't truly be alone with his sister. He have something worthy to use his power, even though it looks like Naruto already claimed her as his family. And don't think about it not to use against that man, but to protect his last living family. He supposed he would repay Naruto someday, thankful that not all is lost. Line break. Kakashi arrived at the tower only a few minutes late, surprising his colleagues that muttered something about the world is ending, and saw his sensei nodding to himself and heaving a sigh of relief as if his prayers were answered. He rolled his eyes, not caring about the reactions as Minato called out to start their report starting from Team 1. Most of them failed, with only TWAM 7, 8, 10, and 11 passed. Minato gave them what to expect on their responsibilities and expectations for their teams. They were soon dismissed but the eye contact he got from his sensei made Kakashi stayed put. expecting a more thorough analysis from his test. Kushina also stayed. Alright, Kakashi, how's your team's performance? I already heard from Kushina about Satsuki, so what about Sasuke? Minato asked. Though Kakashi got a feeling that he also wanted a report involving his wayward son, so he gave him a report based on his team. Well, Sakura is not ready, physically and mentally. She's a fangirl of Sasuke, but she got a good head based on the report from the academy. He heard a tisk from the side, but he plowed on. I think I can carve that out of her in no time, and based on how her teammates operate. She can be the support for them, whether a medic or a genjutsu user, I can't say right now. Minato hummed, and then nodded for him to continue. Sasuke is good. He's got a great knowledge on their family's taijutsu technique. Though the Sharingan is still needed, but still good. His chakra is also higher than most kids in his batch, and he's able to throw a decent-sized fireball at me earlier. Overall, he's ready, though I guess my only concern about him is his mentality. Minato nodded, regret visible in his expression as well as Kushina, no doubt remembering her friend, Makoto. Naruto. On the other hand, Minato winced, and Kakashi couldn't blame him, he's strong. I can say for certain that his Raijutsu is great, mainly focused on the use of his legs. He didn't use any jutsu earlier, but I can only assume that he has some on his arsenal. As I said, he's strong. But, Kushina pressed on, her face void of emotion, though inside she was quite intrigued about her son. But, Kakashi exhaled, trying to find words to describe what he saw. Earlier in our short bout, something unexpected happened. One time when I threw him across the field, his descent slowed down. Like some force held him from impacting hard. And another when I attacked him when he was mid-air, he evaded, he ground out the word, mid-air, like that he was floating. I don't really understand, maybe if used the Sharingan. Maybe I could have discovered how he did it. Kakashi finished. Minato was silent, staring at Kakashi. He knew his sensei was trying to decipher what he said. Are you saying he can fly? Kushina asked in disbelief. Her eyebrows rose as she stared at Kakashi. Yes, for now, let's call it flying. Kakashi said, nodding. Kushina nodded back, slowly, before commenting. Maybe he has using some wind jutsu. Minato has a wind affinity, though it's only a minor. Maybe, but if he really is using a wind jutsu, I bet it'll use a large amount of chakra, and I didn't sense any, other than Naruto reinforcing his limbs. Kakashi replied, maybe you're both right. Like the Nadaime, his control of his water was astounding, maybe Naruto's the same, except with wind. Minato contributed, though he sounded not sure himself. It doesn't matter for now. Good job, Kakashi. I can finally shut those elders about the Uchiha twins. Minato said to Kakashi. Dismissed. And Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke. What do you think? Minato asked his wife. Oh, it's surprising, really. But the twins still better than him. I guarantee that to you. You really hate him, huh? HMPH. Minato sighed at his wife's attitude. He knew she wouldn't admit that she was amazed of Naruto, but her pride is always stopping her. He regretted what he had done back then. But he knew they were the ones at fault. He couldn't take back what happened, it's all in the past. He could only hope that his son would forgive them someday. He knew Kushina enough that she really wanted Naruto back, if only she wouldn't let her pride in the way to admit it. It's all in the past now, I'll just wait to see what lies in the future for us. He thought, getting back to his work, and his headache came back at the sight of his paperwork. Maybe Naruto cursed these papers for my punishment. Hiruzen Sarutobi watched the newly minted genin walk away in disappointment, not expecting their first doing odd jobs around the village. He lit his pipe, blowing a thick smoke. He took this time to relax. Even after serving as the Hokage, and even though he was happy not doing that infernal paperwork, he couldn't stay doing nothing. So he volunteered handing missions to ninjas. His office is still in the same one with the Hokage. He looked to his side. Minato was arguing with Team 7 about the lame jobs. It was entertaining at first, though irritation crept up as the argument was taking too long. Menma, it may be a chore to you, but it is still needed before your team can take a higher rank mission. As your team is very fresh from the academy, the only available missions for you and your batchmates would be D ranks. Hiruzen intervened. You may be painting a fence as your mission, but you can use it to improve your teamwork. Huh, what do you mean, old man? Menma asked. Oh, I don't know, maybe thinking of a plan how to do your job faster. Hiruzen said sarcastically. Ah, Menma rubbed the back of his head, embraced. You're right, sorry, 2-san, old man. Team 7 bowed and left the office, and he heard Minato heaved a sigh of relief. Thank you, Hiruzen, he said with a grateful smile. Don't worry, I have experience through my years serving as Hokage. Though, he may be your son, he's a ninja under your command now. It's hard, but sometimes you need to look at him not as your son, but a soldier. Hiruzen replied softly, I know, I just don't want another child of mine hold resentment against me, one is enough. And I still regret it. Minato murmured. Oh, Hiruzen breathed, it will take time, but I know Naruto-kun will give you another chance. I hope so, Hiruzen, I hope so. The door opened a moment later, Naruto barreling inside, grinning excitably at the old man. Heya, old man, I heard you're the one handing out missions. So what do you have for us? Naruto asked eagerly, his teammates trailing up behind them. Hiruzen held a small smile, greeting him. Yes I am, so it looks like you're ready for your first mission, huh? He said, a hint of mischief in his tone. Yeah, don't tell me there's another speech we have to listen about missions. Because we've already suffered from Iruka's drawling for 6 years. We don't need another one, especially coming from you. Who knows, maybe we'll really die of boredom this time. So, Naruto, show some respect to Lord Third. Minato reprimanded, sweat dropping at the rant. It's okay, Minato, I've known him long enough to expect something like this. Hiruzen said placatingly. So, as for your first mission available for your team, we have fence painting, babysitting, shopping for groceries. As Hiruzen continued to list the D-ranked missions, he could see Team 7 deflating visibly. Naruto's smile slowly disappeared, his eyebrow twitching behind his sunglasses. So, what would you choose? Hiruzen asked, mischievously. Kakashi took over, choosing the grocery shopping, and walking out of the office. Dragging Naruto with Sasuke helping, Sakura trying to shut him up as he yelled curses at him. I'll get back at you, old man. You hear me? Naruto's shouts bellowing at the other side of the door, leaving Hiruzen chuckling good-naturedly. As expected from Naruto, Hiruzen said, but it would be a pain if he really went through with his revenge. He murmured, shuddering slightly. Oh why? Minato asked curiously, wanting to know more about his estranged son. He groaned. I did something like what happened earlier back then, and he tied me to my bed as revenge, with lots of chickens he put in my room. The smell. He shuddered again as he remembered that particular day. Minato looked away from him, definitely smiling at his misfortune. Maybe that was a bad idea after all. Line break. A couple of months passed. A couple of months doing nothing but chores. And Daffy finally had enough. Lee's stories from the missions Team 9 took outside the village had Daffy excited. He expected something like hunting missing ninjas, escorting VIPs, or raiding bandit camps. But things didn't went his way. It was clear to his teammates as they made their way to the Hokage Tower for reporting. They went directly to the old man, as the Hokage is currently preoccupied by Team 7. Grocery shopping complete. Mission accomplished my ass. Daffy thought furiously, as the third went to list various chores again. You listen here old man. He said demandingly, attracting the attention of all present. We didn't spend 6 years learning the best ways to kill a hum. And just to do chores that a civilian can obviously do on their own. Give us something real, you old man. The genins of Team 7 looked at Naruto disbelievingly, expecting some form of punishment after. That blatant disrespect to the former Hokage, with Kushina agreeing to Naruto, muttering about lazy-ass civilians and one day kick said lazy ass. Hiruzen chuckled, waving the tension as he looked at Minato, who looked resigned at from Naruto's another rant about missions. Minato then looked at Kakashi, asking him, Kakashi, do you think they are ready? Kakashi looked at his team, observing them, before answering. I believe they're ready, sensei. They're strong, but field experience will show their true potentials. We'll take AC rank sensei. Kakashi said determinedly. Daffy sighed. Finally, he said dramatically, earning a sweat drop from the others. Minato called to her secretary. Send him in. Daffy looked at the door as an old man came inside, reeking of alcohol. So, I hired a team of ninjas, and this is what I get. The old man said, slurring slightly. Especially the blonde with sunglasses. You sure you're a ninja, kid? He said. Before Daffy could say something, Kakashi intervened, saying they were strong and that he'll also be coming with them, and elite Junin. The old man introduced himself as Tazuna, a self-proclaimed super master builder, telling them that they're Joe. B was to escort him against bandits to the land of waves and guard him until he finished his project, and that they were leaving tomorrow at 10 in the morning. As they were dismissed, Daffy wasted no time to go back at his apartment. He got his first real mission now, even if their client looked like an idiot, but it's better than those chores they called mission. He would prepare for this, not because he was worried, but because Daffy felt it would be exciting. Line break. Guy looked at his team, just finished another training exercise, observing them. He was happy about them, especially Bako. Say they prefer close combat rather than those flashy ninjutsu fights. Tenten was unique. She declared to his team that she'll be the best weapons user in Konoha. Guy might not know how to use weapons, but he would support her all he could. It would be a really long way for to be a weapons mistress if she wants to use different kinds expertly, especially inside her large scroll. Neji Hyuga was a prodigy, especially in their clan's signature taijutsu style. No doubt about it. His only concern was about Neji's way of thinking, believing that the value of life was determined at the status of your life from the day you were born. He could only hope for someone to knock some sense to him. Nevertheless, he was still proud of his progress. Rock Lee, the one he put his hopes for, was the antithesis of Neji. Where Neji is a prodigy because of natural talent, Lee was a prodigy through hard work. He bet that he can fight Neji toe-to-toe, despite the claims that Lee will always be a failure. He remembered the first time he met Lee, seeing him practicing the basic academy taijutsu near his usual training grounds. Of course he heard of his condition, but he was astounded at his will, despite his disadvantage. He took him as a semi-apprentice, knowing he's still an academy student. He gave Lee training regiments and later his preferred taijutsu style, Goken. When Team 9 was formed, he was proud of his progress, as well as the use of his weird but very useful techniques. He said that he made a new friend, Naruto, and gave him instructions about Rokushiki, those unique techniques. He asked if he could see the techniques, though he refused, saying that he promised that he'll not tell anyone about them. He complied, especially when he made a friend. Lee's condition also brought some unyouthful things, such as being made fun at the academy, and that he'll always be a failure. Maybe that's why Naruto helped him. Of course he heard some rumors about Naruto's circumstances. Everyone has potential, and he knew everyone can surpass their limits, it's just it depends to people if they believe they can improve higher than their limits. He was broken out of his thoughts when Neji called out to him, asking about officiating a spar between Neji and Lee. He thought for a minute before nodding in approval. This would only be a sparring bout, so there will be no need to hurt each other severely, but to fan our flames of youth. Guy got a boisterous affirmative from Lee and a simple nod from Neji as Tenten stood beside him. Both Lee and Neji walked in the middle of the clearing, before moving into their favored stances. Begin. Neither attacked for a moment, before Neji surged forward, unleashing a barrage at Lee. Lee evaded, smoothly moving around Neji's assault. For someone who was trained in Goken, Lee moved like he was taught by Anko in snake fist style. Lee broke away and then kicked the air, sending slashes that looked like a wind jutsu. Maybe that's one of the techniques he learned from Naruto. It was definitely an edge for Lee, from the disadvantage of not being able to use ninjutsu, that kicking technique is really useful for long range. Neji leapt away from the path of the wind blades, carving through the frown. He looked frustrated. Guy can only imagine Neji was thinking right now. Neji was on the offensive again, a palm aimed at Lee's throat. Lee met him but faster, moving out of Neji's attack and sending his own fist at his chest, effectively stopping Neji, losing consciousness before he hit the ground. Not that Lee didn't help him, as he gently lied him on the ground before looking at Guy. Good job, Lee, that was a very youthful display right there. Thank you, Guy-sensei. But will Neji be okay? Lee asked, concerned. Don't worry, Lee, I'll take him back to the Hyuga compound. We'll hear again tomorrow the same time. You're dismissed. Both Lee and Tenten bid him farewell and went on their way. He picked up Neji walking to his house. He can only hope that Neji will think things through after this. If not, well, 10 laps around the village will surely keep his mind from this defeat. Line break. Sounds easy, Sakura thought sarcastic. Ally as she made her way to her house thinking about their mission outside the village. Escort Tazuna to Wave, prevent him from dying in case of bandit attacks, guard him until he finished building the bridge. An enormous one if she had to guess, and go home. Mission accomplished. She scoffed. Of course she knew it wouldn't be as simple as that, at least for her. She knew her teammates were strong. She could see both of them vibrating in excitement right now. But she knew she couldn't rely on her team every time some complications occur on a mission. Her fairy tale reality of Sasuke saving her in peril was shattered back at the survival exam. Kakashi-sensei defeated her without touching her. A simple genjutsu with Sasuke's condition like that already sent her into shock and unconsciousness. Pathetic, really, Sakura thought with a self-depreciating smile as she went to her room. Her mother, Mebuki, called out to her, stopping her at the stairs. "How's your day, darling?" her mother asked. "We have a mission tomorrow. A real one outside the village. We'll be gone at least for a month." Sakura replied, "Oh, that's great. This is your chance to make an impression on Uchiha-sama. You better bring all the accessories." Her mother continued to list the things that she said she should bring as Sakura stared at her in disbelief. What are you saying? Your daughter will be gone on a mi. Seijin with the possibility of being attacked and you're worried about me not impressing Sasuke on a life and death situation. Are you for real? What? Why are you worried? You Sasuke-sama with you. He'll definitely keep you out of the fighting. Let the men handle the heavy lifting. You remember what I said back then? You need to become Sasuke-sama's wife so that your life will be a happy and secured one in the future. Oh, you mean, marrying him to secure that you can get your hands at the Uchiha clan's vast resources, right? Sakura said, sarcastically. You know what? I'm done. I have important things to do than to listen to your delusions. She said, ignoring her mother as she went inside her room. She just laid at her bed, staring at the ceiling. She now understood why her mother wants her to be with Sasuke. She saw it on her mother's face. The greed. She couldn't believe it. She knew her mother knew of her affections towards Sasuke. But after spending 6 years in the academy and in the past months in Team 11, she didn't get a single response from him. The only time Sakura got an honest response from Sasuke was when they visited the orphanage. Sasuke looked very relaxed, the whole time than the years he spent back at the academy. And now Sakura understood what Sasuke needed. Not a lover, but a companion, a friend, and a family. She shook her head, feeling foolish on herself. She put those thoughts aside. For now, she still has a mission tomorrow. Line break. Tizuna waited impatiently, as the brats were taking their time, though they're not late. Kakashi-san was with him, reading an orang book. Giggling slightly, he looked around, trying to calm himself. He couldn't help but be nervous and guilty about what he was doing. Lying to them and possibly sending the brats to their deaths. A minute later the kids arrived, looking surprised at Kakashi-san. They look young, too young, in fact. Pink hair looked nervous, maybe her first time out of their village. Black hair walked quietly, looking confident to himself, and Blondie looked odd. He was grinning at something, and he walked weirdly, raising his legs comically high with his hands in his pockets. They chatted along the way. Pink hair asking about Wave Country. He talked about the basics and the bridge he was building, and his pride swelled at the impressed looks he received from the brats. They walked in silence when two people emerged from the puddle. Never mind, as their sensei was chopped into pieces. Kakashi-sensei, pink hair, Sakura, screamed. Sakura, you stay with the Druken Master. Sasuke, we deal with them. I got ugly on the left. The blonde menace, Naruto, took over, and he saw Sasuke responding with a nod. The two boys reacted, retaliating against the two missing nins. They were fast. He couldn't track their movements. He was shocked at the kids. The fight ended swiftly, both missing nins now restrained. He heard some clapping, and he saw Kakashi-san walking out of the woods. Good job, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura. You all did great. Sakura, you did good following Naruto's instructions, guarding the client, as he's our main priority. You two boys made an excellent teamwork, subduing your opponents. Kakashi complimented. Kakashi-sensei, I thought. Kakashi-san pointed at the spot where he was hacked, only to see pieces of wood. So, Kakashi began. We need to talk, Tizuna-san. Tizuna began to sweat bullets, no doubt the Junin found out the magnitude of this mission. And he spilled all of it. Line break. It was a messed up country. A tyrant named Gato took over Wave, squeezing them dry and wanting Tizuna dead and the bridge destroyed. Daffy grinned. This was the kind of mission he wanted. Gato was wealthy, and it means he has more hired goons, maybe some stronger missing nins. They saw the bridge that the old man is currently building, and Daffy can say that he was definitely impressed, especially with few funds. A few minutes of walking, his haki sensed someone pacing with them. He was strong, whoever that was. He looked directly at the assassin, and they were greeted by a huge cleaver rushing towards them as Kakashi told them to duck. So that's why the two failed. You're the one escorting the old man, Kakashi of the Sharingan. The enemy nin said. Sharingan, maybe an implant. Daffy was a bit surprised at that tidbit. But if it isn't Zabuza Momochi, demon of the hidden mist. Kakashi replied nonchalantly, but his stance says otherwise. You three, step back. He's someone you can't fight yet. Kakashi demanded. Let's make this clear. You give me the old man, and I'll let you go. Or, if you don't comply, you're dead. The same with the old man. Zabuza said, leaking a bit of killing intent. Before Kakashi could say anything, Daffy commented. Or, we kick your ass, throw you down to the sea, and we move to our merry way. Simple, right? Fufufufufu. Daffy chuckled. Ha, and who's gonna do that? You. Zabuza sneered. Whatever. Kurigakure no jutsu. A thick mist appeared, making zero visibility, though it didn't bother Daffy to find their opponent. He heard Zabuza with some speech and Daffy made to interrupt him. He lifted his left hand. Middle finger pointed at Zabuza's position. Bullet string, he muttered quietly. A ball of string flew out of his finger, flying towards Zabuza and halting his monologue. Is this how you kill your prey? Killing them by boredom, monologuing something? Heh, heh, heh. Daffy said. And don't worry about us, sensei. You've got your hands full, we can handle his clones. Sakura, old man, get back. Daffy jumped away from a slash sent by the clone, Sasuke throwing shurikens at the clone. Sasuke threw a fireball, forcing the clone to move away, but he didn't expect Daffy suddenly appearing at his side. And got hit with a hockey-encased kick, destroying the clone. They made to back up Kakashi, forcing Zabuza on the defensive, and stopping him from executing some traps. Daffy saw Kakashi with his Hitai-8 lifted up. Sharingan in full display. It was amazing, Daffy thought, as Kakashi copied the hand seals Zabuza was doing and finishing faster than him. Water release. Water vortex jutsu. Kakashi exclaimed. A huge amount of water rose from the sea and hit Zabuza full force, hitting at a trunk with a loud thud. See, can you see the future? Zabuza asked weakly. Kakashi nodded. And your future is death. Something hit Zabuza and he fell down. A hunter nin appeared, thanking them from the unintended assistance and taking off with Zabuza's body. Your future is death. A bit dramatic there, Heh heh heh, Daffy commented, before Kakashi went into some hand seals, and a dog appeared. Kakashi wrote something on a scroll and instructing the dog to deliver it to the Hokage. Didn't expect to fight someone like Zabuza here. I guess really need to stop lazing Aru. Kakashi suddenly fell down, unconscious from using too much chakra. Sasuke and Sakura looked at Naruto, an unspoken agreement of letting Naruto to take command. Naruto nodded to them. Old man, you guide us to where your house is. Sasuke, take point. Sakura, stay beside the old man, I'll carry Kakashi. He summoned Da Shadow Clone and they made their way to Wave. Line break. Minato was arguing with Team 7, besides Satsuki, about a higher ranking mission, again. Mito and Menma pointing that why Team 11 got one. And why they still didn't have one when suddenly Pakun appeared at his desk. Hokage-sama, message from Kakashi. Minato grabbed the scroll and read the contents, paling at what was written. He looked at Team 7. As you are the only available team right now, I have a mission for you, Team 7, and fast. Kakashi woke up. The first thing he saw was a ceiling. He didn't know where he was. Kakashi-sensei, you're finally awake, he heard Sakura exclaimed. He turned his head to the side seeing Sakura, sitting near the bed, and Sasuke, leaning against the wall. Naruto was nowhere in sight. Where? Kakashi asked, his mouth dry. We're at the old man's house. Naruto's outside, said he was bored and he's just taking a walk. Sasuke said. Ah, Kakashi nodded. Sasuke, can you find Naruto? I have something to explain to all of you. Sasuke opened his mouth but Kakashi cut him off. And I'll tell you later about the Sharingan. Sasuke nodded and went outside. Sensei, you want something? Sakura asked. You can't force yourself right now, you've suffered chakra exhaustion, though it's not too bad. Can you help me move downstairs? Sakura complied, assisting Kakashi downstairs. 10 miles. Newts passed and Sasuke came back with Naruto in tow. Tizuna also joined with them, asking Kakashi if he needs anything. Good, you're all here. I'll say this straight to you. That Zabuza might be still alive. Kakashi said, getting various reactions from his team and Tizuna. He explained that the hunter nin used Sanbon's putting Zabuza in a near-death-like state, taking his body and not burning it on the spot, like a typical hunter's. It's also the reason why he sent his summon back to Konoha to request a backup. But I know Zabuza will not be back for a while. He'll also need time to recover, I estimate that he'll be back in action for about a week, and I bet that he'll also have a backup of his own aside from the fake hunter nin, at the very least. Kakashi explained. So we'll use T's remaining free time to train you three. Naruto and Sasuke looked interested, while Sakura looked scared, probably at the thought of Zabuza being alive and adding more allies. So, what will you teach us? Naruto asked. Kakashi just asked to follow him outside for a better demonstration. You're gonna learn how to climb trees. Kakashi said with an eye smile. Sasuke glared, thinking this is some kind of a joke. While Sakura looked confused and Naruto was still smiling though he could see it was twitching. Kakashi's sweat dropped, and sighed as he walked to a tree. After a minute he was standing upside down on one branch. He jumped down and explained the importance of this exercises, to achieve better control of their chakra and not using it excessively. He tossed 3 kunais at their feet. Quote, you can use those kunai to mark your progress by slashing your mark at the trunk. The best way to start these is to run straight up. Remember, try to find and send a balanced amount of chakra to your feet. Too much will blow you off and if you used too little, you'll slip down. Now, go. Kakashi sat down on the shade on one of the trees, hoping that this will be enough to keep them alive on this mission. Line break. Backup finally arrived in the form of Team 7. Daffy felt them approaching as he came back from the forest. He was already done with the exercises Kakashi gave them. It was useful, he concluded. It gives him a better chance in holding his ground, literally, or at least weaken an impact if he is ever sent skidding away. Though Sakura was the first to complete the exercise, possessing small amount of chakra. Daffy still learned it, even with large amount chakra. Though he guessed his past training helped him. Sasuke took longer, but he got it down near sunset. He arrived at Tizuna's house, informing his team of their backup's arrival. 10 minutes later a knock rang on the door with Sakura opening after a confirmation from Daffy. Team 7 introduced themselves to Tizuna and his family, taking a seat at the living room. So Kakashi-kun, can you update us of your situation right now? Kushina asked. Kakashi recounted the events that led to this, stating Zabuza's appearance, their battle, his accomplice, and Zabuza's semi-comatose state. I've taken the liberty of requesting a backup whether Zabuza has more accomplices or none, to make the mission to go more smoothly. Namikaze-san, again thank you for coming here. It's not that I'm not grateful of Kakashi-san and his team, but I can't help but feel more comfortable with you all here. Tizuna said. It's no problem, Tizuna-san. We're just doing our job. Kushina replied, scratching the back of her head sheepishly. You can thank us after the mission is done. From the other side of the room, Menma said, you hear that, Naruto? From just our presence, that old man feels already safe. He can see the difference between us, even a civilian knew you were a weakling. Menma smirked tauntingly. Sasuke and Sakura glared at Menma. Satsuki looked at her brother's stare, surprised that he reacted, let alone defend someone. She knew back at the academy Sasuke held a distinct hate at Naruto, probably because he beat him on their spar back then. Oi, brat, you don't know what Naruto did back. Tizuna was cut off before he can defend Daffy. It's alright, old man. Let him be, if that's what makes him happy, Let him be fuff if you fool. I'll be going around for a walk. Daffy said grinning, unfazed from the insult. He left the house, bored out of his mind. He didn't want to stay there listening to their boasting, he would only suffer a headache. Line break. Haku walked around the forest, scouting and searching of their potential enemies in disguise as someone picking up leaves and herbs. He heard from the reports of some thugs that more ninjas appeared at their target's house, probably back up, he thought. In response, Zabuza also called some of his own back up, Mei Terumi, the leader of the rebels in Kiri. He saw someone sleeping at the forest floor, Naruto, if he remembered correctly. This kid was strong, he knew. He debated on killing him right now, but decided against it. He heard from Zabuza that maybe he was a censor. And a great one at that, as he seemingly tracked Zabuza inside the mist when battled, and when he was trailing Kakashi's team, he saw the kid looked straight right at him. Haku was forced out of his thoughts when Naruto suddenly woke up, a kunai in hand. Oh, sorry that I woke you up, Haku said gently. His soft voice fooled a lot of people, along with his face, though. You might catch a cold if you keep sleeping here in the forest floor. Don't worry about me, I've survived worse than cold Naruto replied smiling widely. Oh, you must be a strong one with a lot of people rely on you then. Haku said, earning a confused frown from Naruto. What are you saying? Naruto asked. I mean, for me, that people get stronger if they have something or someone to protect. Haku concluded. Oh, Naruto muttered. I guess I understand what you're saying. But it's not the only reason why people grow stronger. Naruto said, ninjas, like me should have their resolve to get stronger, no matter how many precious people you have to protect. Naruto said, spreading his arms wide with a huge grin. Haku frowned softly. What resolve? To prey and kill on others. Naruto wagged his finger side to side. No, what I mean is, that you had to have the resolve to put everything on the line for the ones you want to protect. He finished, grinning at Haku. Haku showed a small smile in response. I see, I understand, I guess I'll see you around where are my manners? I'm Naruto, by the way. I'm Haku, and see you around, Naruto. Naruto nodded and went back. Haku walked for a second before looking back at Naruto, amused at how he was walking. He shook his head at the time that they might face off tomorrow. He didn't want to fight him. But as Zabuza's tool, he would do it. Line break. The dinner table was full with teams 7 and 11 occupying it. It was a pleasant night, and Kushina was thankful that Menma didn't start taunting Naruto again. It gives her a migraine all week. Menma would taunt him and Naruto would reply a one-liner, then Menma would explode, while Naruto would laugh gleefully. The silence was pleasant as they ate when Tsunami's son, Inari, spoke. Why? The kid whispered. Why what? Menma replied as everyone looked at the kid. Why are you still doing this? You know that you can't win. Gato will only kill you. The kid exclaimed. Fufufufufu. Kushina looked at Naruto as he started laughing silently. You, laugh all you want. That's all you can do. Laugh and smile. You don't know what suffering means. I bet that you don't even felt something like this. Kakashi groaned beside Kushina, muttering something she couldn't hear quite clearly as Naruto suddenly laughed loudly. Suffering, you say? Naruto said as he stood up, hovering over the kid. You're correct, brat. I didn't know anything how or what you felt. I didn't receive what you and your family get on a daily basis. I only felt it once. Back when I was 8. Naruto said as he leaned back, standing straight with arms wide open. That night, I only received metal pipe to my chest, punches and kicks to my face. Kunais stabbed all over my body, blood gushed uncontrollably, you know. Fufufufu. Kushina was horrified. She didn't heard anything regarding that. Her twins also looked a little green. Sakura, Sasuke and Satsuki all have widened eyes and Kakashi just closed his eyes. So yes, I don't know what suffering is, brat. Naruto laughed, telling Kakashi that he'll be around the forest again. Kakashi-san, is it true? What Naruto said? Tazuna asked curiously. Kushina also leaned slightly, along with their students. Kakashi sighed before answering. Yes, I'm on duty that time when I was still on Anbu. What Naruto said was a filtered version. I saw him unconscious with lots of other villagers also knocked out, no evidence of Naruto retaliating. I don't know what happened, but I know what happened to him. Grim silence entered. Konoha is lucky that Naruto didn't choose to have revenge against those who tortured him that night. Kakashi concluded. And what do you mean by that, Kakashi-ni? Menma demanded. Menma, Kushina said quietly but full of authority. He immediately shut up. Kakashi didn't reply, he just looked at Menma before telling his team to rest. After helping cleaning the dishes, Kushina went up to their borrowed room. She didn't know why that happened. She racked her brain for any possible reasons. The only thing came to her mind was the all-edged pranks. But torture would be too much of a punishment. Kushina thought. Kushina-sensei, why did Naruto-san suffered aomething like that? Satsuki suddenly asked. I don't know, Satsuki, I don't know. Kushina muttered. All I know is that he's always pranking the villagers. She caught Menma wince slightly, but didn't comment, filing it for the future. But isn't that too severe of a punishment? Just because he pranked the village doesn't amount to be attacked like that. TCH, maybe Naruto's lying again, Menma said, though without the usual bravado. Kushina didn't comment, letting sleep take her over for the night. Line break. Daffy was infuriated. He wanted to bring out his rage. That brat, Inari, irritated him to no end. But it didn't help the mocking and the insults he received from Menma, though oddly enough. He didn't get something from Mito, and now he was ordered to stay and guard Tazuna's family. It all started when he woke up late earlier this morning as he trained overtime last night. The time he went downstairs. They're all geared up. Kakashi assigned him guarding Tazuna's family, expecting some thugs going to the old man's family. He complied, begrudgingly. Now after an hour since then, Daffy was just outside the house, still waiting for those expected thugs. He really wanted to just head off to the bridge and join the fighting, when his haki sensed a bunch of people approaching his position. Probably the thugs, he thought. He decided to intercept them, his patience now gone. "Ah, Naruto-san, where are you going?" Tsunami asked worriedly. "Cleaning up some trash," Daffy replied, not bothering to face her. A minute later, he saw the group of thugs, and the sight of them only infuriated Daffy more. "Hey, brat, get out of our way. We don't have time for you. Get away from here and we'll let you leave here with only bruises on your face," the leader commented. Daffy's grin disappeared. The thugs' comment snapped something inside his mind. The thugs looked confused as the kid just looked at them. When the kid suddenly grinned back wider than before with veins twitching at his forehead. "You don't have time for me, huh? What a coincidence. That's what I also want to say to all of you idiots here." "Fufufufufu," Daffy said mock cheerfully. "Just as you said, I don't have time for all of you, but please survive as long as you can." Ha 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 ha. A minute later, all thugs were unconscious. Faces beaten badly. And Daffy is still not satisfied. Line break. Mei Terumi was reaching her limits. Of course fighting blow by blow with the Red Death and her team tended to do that. She jumped away from another barrage of chains, leaning away to the side as the two female genin made a collaboration of fire and wind jutsu combo. Those two have a great teamwork, Mei thought. Their last teammate helped the Uchiha boy against Haku. What a nice teamwork you two girls have, Mei said. In any other circumstances, I would love to talk to you, but I don't have to waste more time here. Mei suddenly put her hands on the ground and called out her jutsu, lava release, lava bed. As she finished, the ground cracked and lava burst out, covering her surroundings. Kushina made her genin jumped away, as she used her chains to stop the lava from eating more footholds. Kushina's hands flashed through hand seals that Mei identified. Water release, water dragon jutsu. Mei was doing her own counter when Haku's shout distracted her. She looked at her two allies and saw that Haku used his mirror to appear and shield Zabuza from Kakashi Hataki's Reikiri. She didn't have time to know if Haku is still alive as she was hit by the water dragon, sending her near her two allies. Suddenly, claps were heard across the battlefield, as Gato appeared with all of his men. The Konohanin also gathered on their side, all exhausted but still have their guard up. "The hell are you doing here, Gato?" Zabuza demanded, his voice rough. "Well, you all are taking too long. So we decided to help you kill them, along with you Zabuza and your companions as your services are too pricey, you know. Though, I guess I'll spare these women for other relieving purposes," Gato said, lust evident in his last words. "It would seem that our fight with you is done, Kushina, Kakashi-san," Mei said, standing up. "You bet it is," Kushina said with a growl, clearly mad at the midget. "You think you all can fight in your condition, even if you're all ninja, I have 100 men. You're all clearly exhausted," Gato exclaimed. Mei knew he was right in some part. They could be at them but she was sure they will also receive injuries, adding to the ones they already have. Before either side could make a move, a loud laughter rang above them. Mei saw one of the genin from Kakashi's team, Naruto, flying down to them. Mei couldn't believe her eyes, and from the looks of others, even Naruto's teammates looked shocked. Well. So, you are Gato, huh? I must say I'm not impressed." "Fufufufufu," Naruto said, anger clearly roiling off of him. "Who the hell are you, brat? Move now, I'm in a bad mood right now so unless you wanna die like those ninjas, you better get away from here," Gato exclaimed, only making Naruto laugh harder, sending shivers through everyone in the area. "You're in a bad mood? No, you can't say that you're in a bad mood because I am in a bad mood. You see, this day is one of my worst days in my life. Ever since I woke up, I'm looking for someone to fight seriously, but what did I get? A bunch of thugs and wannabe pirates lurking around, not enough to entertain me for a bit. And now that I've arrived here, you came in terminating your contract and ending the fight. My day just got worse, you know." "Heh heh heh," Naruto chuckled, though he clearly wasn't happy right now. "And the only thing I can have right now is you, a pathetic midget surrounded by 100 more pathetic men of yours. But, as they say, beggars can't be choosers. So I will settle with you, as no other option is available for me now. Naruto jumped onto the air, and Mei expected him to obey the laws of nature by landing back, but he stayed up in the air and he sat on it. Though on closer look, she noticed some shiny lines in the air where Naruto sit. Are they webs? Maybe strings, she thought, looking at the other ninjas, and knew that they also noticed those strange strings. The red-haired genin, Mito, muttered beside her mother and twin. Looks like strings, but it looked very different and stronger than the ones that Suna puppeteers uses. It's like our chains, Mom, she said. Kushina looked at her daughter, wide-eyed. Are you sure? Kushina asked seriously, and received a nod from Mito. Gato looked very frightened right now, as Naruto laughed again. Oh no, 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 I'm not gonna beat you like your other men back there. I'm not going to touch you, that would be beneath me, Naruto chuckled. I have a much more elegant way to show you. He suddenly pulled 7 metal pipes from his storage seal, and tossed them to the thugs. Naruto lifted a hand, almost unnoticeable threads appeared, and suddenly 7 thugs began picking up the pipes. He's controlling them like a puppet, Zabuza said as he patched up Haku, though he's still in a bad shape. Mei went to him, applying healing jutsu. I didn't know Naruto could do this, Kushina whispered. Mei was surprised of Naruto's rare ability, and she already considered a dangerous one right now. He'll only grow more frightening in the future. Now, I've heard lots of things about you, Gato. Waves, natives always said that you're bragging about being untouchable, and that you've never suffered any injuries, even minor bruises since you were a child. Naruto mused, a hand on his chin. And you say that you've never been struck before and practically untouchable, correct? The thugs that was in Naruto's control began to edge closer to Gato. Naruto shook his head, as if he didn't agree on something. Now, that won't do. That just won't do at all. I am of the opinion that all children should be beaten as they grow up. Violently too. It's a part of a healthy upbringing. I mean, after all. The thugs began circling Gato. His cries was ignored by all present. The pipes went up, and Naruto started to truly laugh, this time. It did wonders for me. Fufafufu, fufafufu. The others can only watch the spectacle. The genins were a bit disturbed, and the junins just watched emotionless. Sasuke, I know Naruto is a bit creepy, but, this, Sakura said. Well, he's still has a limit. How much shit he can take, Sasuke replied, uneasiness clear in his voice. Mei can only shiver at what she was witnessing, and it's not a pleasant one. A day passed after the battle, or rather, the massacre at the bridge. The ninjas from Konoha is currently recovering in Tezuna's house. The Kiri nins returned to their country with a healthy amount of Ryo, sneaking in Gato's stronghold. Team 11, though without Naruto as he is currently on guard duty at the bridge, even the threat was gone, were inside a room where Sasuke is cooped up, along with Menma. Exhaustion hit them right before the one-sided battle finished. Both senseis were recounting what happened after they passed out, though not much interesting, with the bridge builder's grandchild appearing with a mob of townspeople. And Gato was left alive for them. At the mention of Gato, Sasuke and Sakura shivered, the latter noticeably. Wait, where's Naruto? Sasuke questioned, his voice a bit hoarse. He's at the bridge, with your sister. Sensei said that until the bridge is complete, we'll be staying here in Wave. Sakura said with Kakashi nodding at the back. Sasuke nodded back. What about the missing nins? They went back home. They still have some important things to do. Kakashi replied. You want something to eat? Yeah, but I think I can go down there now. Don't bother bringing me food here, Sasuke said. Sakura looked worried, though Kakashi approved after a moment of silence. Okay, but don't push yourself. Kushina-san, Mito, Menma, you want something to eat? Ah no, we're good, Kushina replied. Kakashi-kun, do you have a minute? I have something to ask. Kakashi nodded, having a guess of what she would ask. Well, I guess I'll go straight to the point. Did you know that Naruto can create strings? Webs? Kushina asked. Mito and Menma perked up. No, that's the first time I saw him do something like that, though I guess that's how he did what he did back in my bell test, Kakashi said with Kushina nodding back. What is it? What did that failure do? Menma asked. Mito also looked interested. Oh, that. He's using those strings, or webs, to float in the air, maneuvering mid-air when we fought back at the exams, Kakashi said with an eye smile. That's what he said. Now he can use it to people like puppets. And I guess that's how he's flying towards the bridge yesterday, by jumping through those strings. Thou, Kushina was cut off as Mito intervened. No, he's not using whatever it is to fly. I'd sense it if he's using those strings but I didn't. Mito said. Are you sure? Kakashi asked. Yes. Looks like Naruto's got a bag of tricks with him. Kakashi said. Though I don't know why he's showing his abilities. It will be troubling for him on the long run, he could be labeled as a flight risk. Why do you say that? Mito said, though it sounded almost a demand. Kushina and Menma looked at her oddly. Well, considering Naruto hiding his abilities, his very small circle of connection in the village, and his healthy upbringing, as he said, Kakashi said, Kushina twitched, unnoticed by the genins, though Kakashi noticed. It is definitely a recipe to make a rogue ninja. But also considering that we're talking about Naruto, and from what I've observed, I can safely say that Naruto is not bothering to use his more destructive abilities because there's no need to use it. What do you mean? Exclamation mark. Are you saying that we're too weak to force him to go all out if we spar? Please, I'll hang him up using his own strings or webs, whatever, any day of the week. Menma said arrogantly. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not saying that no one can fight him toe-to-toe in the village. All I'm saying is that there's no threat against the village to warrant Naruto to use his full capabilities. And no, he won't fight you even if it's just a spar. Kakashi concluded. Well, it's obvious that he knows that I'm too strong for him. Menma boasted. No, Kakashi replied immediately. He will fight you if you have a valid reason to fight him. If it's something petty reasoning, well, I guess Naruto will just ditch you for something what he does in his own free time. Kakashi I smiled. Well, I'm hungry. I'm gonna join my cute little genins downstairs. Kushina-san, are you gonna join us? Later Kakashi, we're still full. Kushina replied. Kakashi nodded and walked out of the room. Kakashi shook his head. All the things he said were all crap. He didn't really know Naruto, all he got was from various reports and from his observations. But he trusted Naruto, he didn't know why. But he just felt that he could trust him. He just hoped that he was right. Line break. Teams 7 and 11 approached the gates of Konoha, returning from their mission. Their walk back to village is peacefully calm. Aside from the small talks from the female genins. They made their way to the Hokage Tower, greeting the secretary and making their way inside. Inside the office, Hiruzen Sarutobi, Minato Namikaze, Jiraiya, and Tsunade Senju, the last one just came back from the fire capital as the personal doctor for the father of the current daimyo though he still died of old age, as bot. H teams went inside. Not gonna describe Tsunade, I know you know how she looks like. Tu-san, we're Ba-chan, Menma shouted, receiving a fist to his head, his face dug to the floor. I told you to stop calling me that, brat. Tsunade yelled. She looked at Mito, said girl shake her head, and Tsunade proceeded engulf both brats in a hug. I miss you brats. Kushina, Tsunade, after an exchange of hugs. The third cleared his throat. As heartwarming this reunion as it is, Kushina, Kakashi, report. Hiruzen ordered, and Minato laughed sheepishly. And report they did, all things happened were said. After the report, all listeners looked incredulously. So you're saying that, Minato rubbed his forehead, your team's faced with not only a former member of the Seven Swordsmen, an unknown ninja with an ice release Kekkei Genkai who's clearly a strong one, but also the one leading the rebellion in Kiri. He sighed heavily, and you only got away because the boogeyman, Gato, showed. Then Naruto here, he waved a hand to Naruto, showed up and scarred us. Sasuke cut in, with Sakura nodding determinedly. Naruto just grinned on their way as usual. What, did you really think so low of me? Naruto said dramatically. Yes, all genins replied in unison and Naruto just chuckled. Alright, where was I? Right, Naruto appeared and he beat up Gato by controlling his thugs. Minato asked, not sure of what he heard. He received nods from both Junin. He used some kind of strings and he used those thugs like puppets. Kakashi confirmed. Hiruzen looked interested. He didn't know that particular technique. He guessed Naruto just made it not too long ago. Naruto-kun, would you show us how you did that puppetry? Hiruzen asked. Of course, anything for you, old man. Naruto replied, grinning mischievously. All adults shivered at the grin, recognizing the mischief from experience from Kushina long time ago. Naruto raised his hand, moving his fingers like he was pulling something they couldn't see. And then, Sasuke face planted, with Sakura's hand raised high, definitely slapping Sasuke on the back of his head. What the hell was that for, you pinky? Sasuke roared. His teeth looked like from a shark. I don't know what happened. My hand just mo. Sakura whirled to Naruto. Sasuke also followed suit, coming to the same conclusion with Sakura. What the hell did you do that for? You smiling bastard jerk. Sasuke and Sakura both exclaimed. Naruto just laughed his guts out, clearly enjoying his work. What a cute couple you two. You're already in sync. Naruto teased and he laughed more as both his teammates turned red. Even Kakashi chuckled a bit. As entertaining as this is, brat, how did you do that? Jiraiya broke spectacle. Why don't you ask the old man? After all, he knew this all along. He replied, his grin aimed at Hiruzen, receiving a glare. What a troublesome kid, letting me explain, Hiruzen mumbled. Well, he's an Uzumaki, Jiraiya. Kushina and Mito has chakra chains, and he has his own, chakra strings. And don't mistake like the ones used by Suna puppeteers. And yes, it's tough as Kushina's chains. Care to put that to the test? Menma said in a challenging tone, looking directly at Naruto. He looked back, grinning, nah, I'll pass. What, you scared or something? Oh no, no you see, I have more important things to do. Like groceries for example. Speaking of which, the payment. Naruto said to the current Hokage, his held out. Minato, sensing the tension between the two, changed the subject and dismissed the Genins. He then looked at Hiruzen. Why didn't you tell me about Naruto, Hiruzen? Why did he hide his abilities from us? Why? Because he asked me to. Because he clearly didn't trust all you three. I've barely earned his trust to have a decent talk with him. And you're asking why I didn't tell you? Hiruzen answered. Minato, Kushina, how can Naruto trust you two when all you've given to him is a roof to sleep at? Hiruzen said. I know that we're not the best of parents, but you know that Menma and Mito needed us training the Kyuubi's chakra. Kushina replied. Plus he's not as talented as the twins and he's just causing trouble to the villagers with his pranks. Sensei, Kakashi intervened. There's something I am concerned about Naruto. What is it? It's better that I just show you. With that, Kakashi lifted the cover of his Sharingan eye, using a genjutsu as the office shimmered. They looked around and saw that they were in wave. Starting from when Gato appeared into his beating. Hiruzen sighed deeply. Minato looked visibly disturbed, as well as Tsunade and Jiraiya. Gato deserved that. I felt satisfaction and I won't deny that. But what I'm concerned is that Naruto's the one who did that. Kakashi said, a tinge of worry rang in his voice. I can say for sure from what happened that night scarred Naruto deeper than we thought. He received a nod from the third. When did this happen? Minato asked weakly. I think when he's 5, maybe 6 years old. Kakashi answered. Back when you denied him to join his siblings to train and you decided to describe him in negatively. From what Naruto said to me, you, Kushina, called him a failure. Hiruzen said, frowning heavily. I understand that the twins needed training, Kushina, but did you really have to leave Naruto on his own? He learned how to cook his own food early in his life. Too early for a kid at the age of 5. Hiruzen yelled. The same goes for you too, Minato. Tsunade, who was watching on one side, exploded. What on earth made you two do that? Tsunade demanded. No, don't answer that. I bet that Jiraiya has a hand in this. She said, glaring at the white-haired Sennin. Wait, Haim, I know it sounds bad but it's for the peace in the future. The twins are the children of prophecy. They will have a long way to achieve that peace and if sacrifices is to be made, we'll do it. Jiraiya reasoned. Tsunade just looked at him blandly, and walked out of the room, shouting about going to the hospital. What's wrong with her? Jiraiya asked confused. Sensei, just get out for now, please. Minato said, looking very tired right now. Jiraiya complied, seeing his student was pleading for him. Kushina just stayed silent. She knew what was said to her was right, she justified her reasoning that it was still the right course of action in her mind. After a moment, she bid her husband and the third goodbye, Kakashi already left with his students. After she left, Minato groaned tiredly. He really didn't know what to do for now. His son didn't trust them, his sensei just said that he would sacrifice his child just to attain peace, and his wife didn't even defend his son. He really didn't know what to do, aside from doing the cursed paperwork. Line break. Satsuki walked behind her brother, both basking in the silence. She didn't know what to say when he saw her brother's predicament earlier at the Hokage's office. She couldn't remember when did he acted so childish ever since that day. Just replaying what happened earlier made her giggle out loud. What are you giggling about? Sasuke asked. He also looked calmer than ever. Satsuki ran beside him. Nothing. Just remembering what happened earlier back at the office. TCH. Sasuke didn't reply, he just looked ahead, grumbling about blondes and kicking that blonde's ass in the future, when he suddenly turned to her. Hey, come with me. I'll introduce you to someone. Sasuke said. Who is it? A girlfriend? If it is, I already know her. Satsuki teased. Shut up, and I don't have a girlfriend. You just follow me. Sasuke grumbled. Okay, I'm just teasing you. They walked in silence. After 15 minutes, they arrived at the orphanage. What are we doing here? Satsuki questioned, confused. He didn't answer and just knocked on the door. The caretaker opened the door and let them inside. Though she looked suspicious, they made their way inside. Sasuke suddenly ducked, a pillow passed his head and instead it hit Satsuki. She grabbed the pillow, looking around ready burn QHO through the pillow. You failed again, squirt. Sasuke said, amused. Next time, duckhead, next time I'll get you. A young girl ran up to his brother, who was kneeling down and accepting the hug, greeting each other. The girl then faced Satsuki. Hi, I'm Shizuka Uchiha. Nice to finally meet you, Satsuki-san. The girl, Shizuka, greeted her. Satsuki was shocked. She didn't know that Air was a survivor on that night other than the two of them. She observed her, recognizing Uchiha's black hair and eyes. Hello, nice to meet you too. Satsuki whipped her head to Sasuke, demanding an explanation. Sasuke explained to her, saying that Naruto brought him here, that Shizuka was left in Naruto's care after the massacre. What took you so long? Didn't you know how boring it is when y'all are not here? Shizuka whined childishly. I told you that we had a mission outside the village, squirt. I'm sure Naruto also said that to you before we left. Sasuke replied. Shizuka just pouted, turning her head away from them. Satsuki turned to her brother. Why didn't you told me sooner? Well, I forgot, he replied, and dare she say, he looked embarrassed. Oh, why does little Shizuka angry? A voice rang behind them. Is your big brother Duckhead bullying you again? Naruto said, grinning. Shizuka ran up to him, and punching him in the stomach. He clutched his stomach dramatically, before giving he ruffled her head. She watched the two boys interact with the girl. She couldn't believe that they could act like this. Naruto was smiling widely as usual, though without the creepy feeling. Sasuke also smiled, a small one but still a smile, and his face didn't have that constant frown. Ah, we really didn't meet formally. I'm Naruto. Satsuki was slightly startled, though she recovered and returned the gesture. I'm Satsuki Uchiha. I've heard of what you did for Shizuka here, and I just wanna say thank you for taking care of her. Satsuki replied, bowing. Don't mention it. Besides, I promised someone that I'll take care of her. Naruto said. Satsuki noticed a touch on sadness when he said that, though she didn't pry further. So you two are already here, huh? Oh, Suki, you're here too, huh? Satsuki turned her head and saw Sakura approaching them waving a hand. Yeah, Sasuke brought me here earlier. I didn't know that we had another living relative alive because someone forgot to inform me. Satsuki replied. I said I was sorry, alright. Sasuke replied. She didn't reply and just talked to Sakura. They stayed at the orphanage for a couple of hours before they went back home. Satsuki, for the first time since that night, was content. Unlike having a competent teammates, right now she was content with her life. Her brother was happy, he smiles more than the whole time he spent at the academy. Sasuke, thank you for letting me know Shizuka-chan. I feel content for the first time since. She trailed off, not wanting to remind her brother of that night. Don't mention it, and I introduced you to her not just because she's family, but because I know, we need your help protecting her. Me, Naruto and Sakura, we can't be everywhere at the same time, I realize. That back after our first mission outside, and I'm sorry to ask, but I ask of you. Sasuke turned to face her and bowed slightly, please take care of her. This jerk, this buffoon of a big brother. Satsuki enveloped Sasuke in a big hug, crying in his chest. Idiot, I know I'm not the best sister in the world. I know I'm a bratty child back then, I should be the one saying sorry. You're my brother. I didn't realize how precious family is, until that night, so I'm sorry. Satsuki blubbered, tears and snot dripping from her face as Sasuke blushed in embarrassment. Yeah, whatever. Get off of me, your damn snot staining my clothes. Sasuke exclaimed, turning his head away and covering his embarrassment. No, I won't. Satsuki tightened her hold. I won't let you go, till you say it. she said resolutely. Sasuke sighed. Though he didn't say anything, he just returned her hug. That motion answered Satsuki, as their bond as siblings rebuilding. Don't thank me, you say that to Naruto. He's the one who took care of her. Now let me go and clean your face. Sasuke said. Satsuki wiped her face. It may look a bit disturbing, but she didn't care. She was happy right now. Line break. Months passed since their C rank turned disaster mission. Their missions returned back to D ranks. They got a couple of C ranks but nothing interesting like their first. Now Team 11 gathered at their usual TG. Kakashi informed them about something of interest, and now they're here waiting, as Kakashi is late, again. Where the hell is that Cyclops? Sasuke growled lowly. Heh, why so impatient, Sasuke? You lack some sleep, or maybe you're having your period right now. Naruto chuckled, ducking from a kunai Sasuke chucked at him. Whoa, chill out, heh. Naruto, Sasuke, both boys turned to their teammate, wondering what was this about. I have something to ask to both of you. Sakura said, but before she could say more, Kakashi appeared. Yo, none of his stew. Dents paid him attention for a full minute, before they greet him simultaneously. Yo, Sakura bit her lip, stopping herself to laugh. Sasuke was smirking, not bothering to hide his amusement. And Naruto was grinning as usual, though his amusement was palpable. I really, need to stop being late, Kakashi's sweat dropped. His habit of coming late was now biting him in the ass. He shook his thoughts and I smiled. Well, my cute little Genins, I have something to tell you that will surely catch your interests. All three looked interested. A month from now, the Chunin exams will start, and this Konoha will be hosting the exams. His two male students looked eager, though Sakura looked unsure. I will give you this registration forms, and if you want to participate, just sign the M and bring them to me before the day of the exams. I'll give you this month to think about it, and if you decide to take the test, you can use this time to train, though I can't train you for 3 weeks as I have a mission. Kakashi said as he distributed the papers. Hey, don't worry, I'll ask the old man if he can spare us some time. Naruto said. Kakashi nodded. Just remember that give me the forms 1 week before the exam so I can register all 3 of you. Though you can skip these exams and take the next one. Just think about it. Dismissed. After a moment, Naruto spoke. So, Sakura, what are you saying earlier? She took a deep breath, and bowed, please help me to get strong. Both boys were silent for a moment as they looked at each other before Naruto looked back. Why? Sakura gathered her thoughts before she spoke. I want to be able to help you both. I want to get stronger so I won't rely on you every single time we faced something out of our scope. I want to become stronger so you can rely on me. I want to stand beside you too. I don't want to ask for help every time. I don't want to just stand by and watch you fight. I don't want to be a burden. So please help me get stronger. Sakura said. She sounded like she'd cry any moment, but her resolve rang loud and clear. Naruto looked at Sasuke, a silent conversation between them before Sasuke nodded. You listen and listen carefully. Naruto said, his smile gone, and Sakura could tell he was serious right now. The day passed by. Sakura's body is aching, bruises all over her body from the training she received. And she knew she'll feel the soreness tomorrow, but she's happy. She knew she has a long way to go, but she silently promised that she will not let her teammates down. Team 11 walked the village alongside his teammates. They decided to use the last 2 days to relax before the Chunin exams. They don't want to attend the exams sore and tired. Sakura and Sasuke were arguing about assassinating someone with Daffy just listening and laughing at them. It was almost unbelievable. Sakura, when Daffy first saw her, would start proclaiming her love to Sasuke. Now she was arguing against Sasuke, and on. Each time she slapped him at the back of his head, saying something about despite a genius, he's still an idiot. Sasuke also changed, though he still strived for vengeance, he is more open now. He smiles more, laugh at something amusing, even argue about the smallest of things. It's a welcome relief to see Sasuke like that, Daffy muses. He knew better than anyone living a life for vengeance, and it cost him everything. They also got stronger, especially Sakura. Not on the level Daffy or Sasuke, but she definitely improved. Daffy focused on her stamina as it was pathetic, to say the least. He asked her about her everyday routine, which consisted of what a normal civilian girl lives. Her only saving grace was that at least she reads books related in medicine, add with the fact that she has a very good grasp in chakra control. Daffy could see a budding medic nin. Though Daffy focused on her stamina and taijutsu, experimenting on the basic academy style to suit her. Daffy asked Lee for a training regiment for Sakura, which looked like a torture for the poor girl, though at least it paid off. The three of them just got from eating lunch when Daffy sensed someone trailing them, though he recognized who it was. I got you now, a voice shouted behind the three genin. You're going down, duck butt. Another voice echoed. Sasuke just sidestepped and grabbed the back of the little girl's shirt and lightly bopped her on the head. While Daffy turned around and held his foot up front, with Konohamaru slamming face first into his shoes. You gotta do better than that, squirt. Sasuke said to Shizuka, smirking. Konohamaru slid off, moaning. Daffy just chuckled. As ye expected of my rival, Konohamaru groaned and he suddenly stood up, his pain suddenly vanished. But next time, I'll get you next, boss. Konohamaru exclaimed, pointing his finger at Daffy. Ha ha ha, where'd you get that? Daffy exclaimed, pointing at what Konohamaru is wearing. That oversized scarf was gone. In exchange of an oversized feathery coat, light blue in color. Sakura and Sasuke was startled when they saw Naruto look so distressed like this. Naruto, what's wrong? Sakura asked nervously. She was scared to know what caused Naruto to be like this. But she was ignored as Naruto grabbed hold of the kid's collar and he shook the living daylights out of him. Tell me, I got these from a foreign vomit merchant. Ah, Konohamaru slurred, his eyes swirling. Where is that merchant? Daffy demanded. There's a stall near the civilian shopping district. You won't miss it. It's a colorful stand. Konohamaru replied. Daffy didn't give a reply, and walked with a purpose, like a man on a mission. Hey boss, wanna play ninja with us? Konohamaru shouted. Tomorrow Kono, I'm free in the morning. Daffy replied. Konohamaru grumbled, but accepted his answer. Sorry Kono-kun, Shizuka-chan, we don't have too much free time right now. You know the Chunin exams is in 2 days, so, Sakura said sheepishly. I know, it sucks but I understand. Kono replied. Well, see you tomorrow. Come on, Shizuka, see ya Sakura-ne, duckhead. Shizuka shouted, running past Konohamaru. Sakura and Sasuke went after Daffy. Though before they could walk further, they saw Shizuka being held up by a boy in a car-like suit accompanied by a girl that looked like older than them. Oi, let her go, Konohamaru shouted. Shut up, I'm gonna teach this brat a lesson. The cat boy sneered. Kankuro, let her go. We don't have time for this. What if he sees us? The girl said. Don't worry Tamari, just gonna punish this brat for a minute and we're done here. Kankuro replied. Or, you let her go and be on your way. Unless you're the one who wants to be punished. Kankuro looked to the source of the voice and he saw 2 kids. A black-haired boy and a pink-haired girl. Huh, who the hell are you? Kankuro asked arrogantly. We should be the one to ask that. You walk here in Konoha like it's your own and picking a fight with a civilian, especially the adopted granddaughter of the 3rd Hokage. Sakura said, though the Sandaime didn't really adopted Shizuka, but he treats her like one a. ND Konohamaru also treats her like a little sister. Sasuke just glared at Kankuro, his Sharingan spinning menacingly. Kankuro, you idiot. Tamari bashed Kankuro on the head. I keep telling you to let her go and now we'll have bigger problems because of you. You really should listen to your blonde friend there, Kabuki man. After all, what you're doing right now doesn't really look like a friendly visit from an allied village. Another voice said. Tamari looked at the speaker. The kid is tall, with clothes too vibrant for a shinobi. It may look odd for a shinobi, but she knew ninjas have their own quirks and antics. In fact, Tamari would have called him a handsome if not for the fact that his smile is a bit unsettling. His smile is wide, too wide and projects malice that she only felt from her youngest brother. Kankuro looked to the side and saw a tall blonde-haired kid with an odd choice of clothes. The blonde was grinning right at him, but it projects something malicious aimed at him. Kankuro let the girl go as she hid behind black hair and pinky. Good choice, Kabuki man, because Mr. Red hair there up in the tree looked like gonna kill someone. Naruto continued. A red-haired K. It in their age appeared in a swirl of sand. Kankuro, stop, you're disgracing our village, the kid said in monotone. Gee Gaara, I speak, and you're dead. The kid, Gaara, said flatly, but the threat is there. He turned to Team 7 and bowed slightly. I am sorry for the troubles my brother caused. We are here to participate for the Chunin exams. And rest assured, Kankuro will receive proper punishment. Gaara said. Don't worry, the kids will get over it. Naruto replied. Well, I guess we'll meet in the exams soon. And the name's Naruto, by the way. I see. We'll meet at the exams, and mother wants your blood. Gaara said. Tamari, Kankuro, come, Baki-sensei awaits for us. Naruto just grinned as he watched the trio from Suna disappear in his sight. What a weird kid, Sasuke muttered. Something feels off about him though. Quote, yeah, I don't know what it is but something's creepy about him. Sakura agreed. Because there is really something in him. Naruto answered. So the Tanuki is here, huh? Naruto heard the fox. You know something? Naruto asked. The Ikibi, sealed inside that brat. He's insane. Kyuubi rumbled. Interesting. Naruto grinned. Line break one day before the exams. And I will admit it's frightening, but it's also something impactful mission, an eye-opening to the shinobi life. Mito said. Yeah, I get what you mean. I know that from our first C rank. Though it was only bandits that ambushed us but still the danger is there. Hinata replied. Ino listened as her friends chat about their missions, specifically their first C rank. Ino and her team also experienced some difficulties in their mission, though it's the same as Team 8 with bandits. Though Team 7 and 11's mission was surreal. The Demon Brothers, the Demon of the Hidden Mist, an Ankh. Known but skilled ninja plus hundreds of thugs and bandits and a tyrant. Ino could admit that she would be scared, though she knew Forehead would be too. Speaking of, where is Forehead anyway? Ino vocalized her thoughts. Team 11 is still not here. The girls of their batch decided to have a meet-up with all Rookie 12. I heard that Team 11's sensei is notorious from being late. Maybe they got that from their sensei. Kiba Inuzuka of Team 8 answered her. Maybe Forehead's hogging Sasuke-kun right now. Hey Satsuki, do you know where's your brother? Ino asked. Her patience now was wearing thin. Add to the fact that Shikamaru's finger tapping the table, looking impatient, though she didn't pay any thought about it. He said that there they are. Satsuki said, pointing at the approaching Team 11. Before Ino could launch herself, Shikamaru shouted, surprising the other genins. Naruto, Shikamaru shouted. He stood up, slammed his hands at the table. I want a rematch. What the hell, Shika? Ino screamed, startled at her teammates' behavior. She knew Shikamaru since they were kids, with their parents, along with Choji's, were close friends and one of the best teams of Konoha. But, Ino didn't expected Shika to react like this, unless his mother was involved. But the looks Choji is having, she guessed he knew something why the Nara heir is acting like this. Oi, Choji, what the hell's wrong with Shika? What's got him so worked up? And what the hell does he mean a rematch? Ino demanded. Well, Choji said, but he was interrupted by Naruto. Ha ha ha, so you want another match? Naruto said, clearly entertained at Shikamaru's reaction, though Ino couldn't blame him. Shikamaru didn't answer. Instead he cleared the table, kicked Kiba out of his seat, ignoring the indignant yell from the Inuzuka, and started arranging a shogi board. When Ino saw this, her jaw dropped as she pieced it together, thoughts about Sasuke was forgotten. She didn't bother greeting Sakura, who too took a seat beside her, all the while smiling at Shikamaru's reaction. The other rookies were also looking at the spectacle. Choji, who saw the first match between his friend and Naruto, didn't react the same as the others. But he was still surprised that Shika reacted this way. Hinata's reaction looked like she didn't came from a disciplined and prestigious bloodline. Kiba's jaw dropped. Shino looked like he was not very surprised. Though with his brows lifted up higher than usual was he way to tell that he was very surprised. Satsuki looked impressed, from beating Shika at shogi and making Shika lose his calm and lazy attitude. Mito, who was always acting indifferent towards Naruto, looked wide-eyed. Menma only raised a brow, though inside, he reluctantly acknowledged that Naruto beating the Nara heir was impressive. All of the rookies and those who didn't passed in their batch that Shikamaru posse's the highest level of IQ, also surpassing most of his clan members. The fact that Naruto, Ho was disinherited of being a clan heir, bested one of the smartest in the village, in shogi which Shika excelled the most no less. That's right, a rematch. I want one, right here, right now. Shika demanded. Choji, when did this happen? Ino whispered. Well, it happened last Monday. Yeah, last Monday, and it only lasted not even half an hour, Choji answered. He explained that the two of him were just lazing around when they saw Team 11. They said that they were going to train and that Sakura if they can play some shogi, saying that it would be a great mental exercise. Naruto didn't know how to play. So Shika taught him at first. And after their first game, and from Shika's face alone, that was the most grating experience he's ever had. Choki finished. Naruto chuckled. Alright, we'll have a rematch. Heh heh heh. On the side, Sasuke smirked. He knew shogi and he can play, but he doesn't really enjoy it. The only joy he can have in shogi is to watch Nara squirm against Naruto. Aside from his teammate, the Nara heir could beat all genins in the village, and most of the chunins and some junins. If only he put more effort in others, not just lays around, he could be a contender on the roadie. Besides Sasuke, Sakura grinned viciously. She took pride in her smarts, and seeing Shika back in the academy lays around but still beat her in brains infuriated her. Even though Naruto was the one who beat Shika in shogi, Sakura took some entertainment watching him break out of his lax attitude. The match was almost like a replay. At first, Naruto looked at the board, recognizing some changes on Nara's strategies. All genins were silent, and even some of the patrolling Anbu also watched with the genins as they saw the seriousness and concentration etched on the Nara's face. Though after 5 minutes, Shikamaru saw the grin on his opponent's face, dread began to creep on him. His chuckles didn't help either. After some time, Naruto didn't bother looking at the board. He just cleaned his sunglasses and his hands would push a piece. In the end, Shikamaru could only take comfort that he lasted 2 minutes longer than their first game. Line break. Guy watch. Ed Lee and Tenten as they spar in their training ground. He watched as Lee evaded all the kunais and shurikens thrown by the girl, dancing like a leaf. He guessed it was Kami-e, a technique Lee learned from Naruto. Lee kicked the ground, and threw a knee towards her abdomen, which she evaded on a roll. She looked around as Lee disappeared, Soru, Guy thought, when suddenly, she was tackled from behind and a hand pinned her head to the ground. From the corner of her eye, she saw Lee's fist reeled back and launched to her face, though it didn't make contact, but Lee repeated the gesture. That's enough, my youthful students. Guy said as he and Neji approached the two. Lee rose from his position and offered a hand to his teammate. Why won't you let me skewer you, Lee? Tenten said in an exaggerated hurt voice. Though Lee took it seriously. What an unyouthful way of thinking, Tenten. We are teammates. How could you? Lee exclaimed. He looked genuinely frightened and upset at his teammate. Wait, Lee. I'm just joking, Tenten said quickly. Neji just sweat dropped as Guy gave words of reassurance at Lee and tears of relief appeared in Lee's eyes. Neji and Tenten knew what would come next. Anyway, Guy-sensei. What do you think about my performance? Tenten quickly changed the subject. You performed much better than the last few months. Your reflexes and reaction time also improved as well as your awareness on your surroundings. There are still some holes to fix but, overall it is quite a performance. Gade said, complete with a thumbs up as Neji gave his own input. I agree with Sensei, Tenten-san. But from what I observed, you rely too much on using your weapons for long-range assaults. You would be in a disadvantage if you face up against a superior weapons user. Or a ninjutsu specialist, especially someone with a wind affinity. The moment you face either one of those, you're finished. Neji said flatly. It is very unyouthful with the way Neji-san said it, but I have to agree with him. Tenten-san, Lee said. Tenten looked disappointed but she agreed with their analysis. She couldn't blame them. Neji is a prodigy. People say that he was only a prodigy in their clan's taijutsu style. But his smarts is also sharp that some people didn't see. Not like the Naras, but still sharp. Though with Neji spouting about fate really dampened him in mental department. Lee is strong, she wouldn't deny that. Someone who dedicated himself to be the best even if it's only in taijutsu. He worked hard, very hard. He is not good at the other shinobi aspects. So he trained his body to be his weapon. He is using his body to its full potential. So when Lee agreed with Neji, she knew what he was saying. If she want to be a weapons mistress, she should use weapons to its full potential. You're right, but I guess you'll help me with that, huh, Lee? Tenten replied. Of course. Though I do not use weapons myself, but in spars you can count me in. Lee said with a thumbs up along with her sensei. Neji just nodded. Alright, my youthful students. I will let you go now so you can use the remaining to rest and relax because you know what comes tomorrow. You all need to be in your most youthful. Guy boomed. I will see you tomorrow, dismissed. Line break day of the exams. Kakashi leaned against the rails reading his favorite book near the room 301 where the first exam will occur. He just came back a week before the exams from a long-term mission infiltrating Iwagakure. What spurred this was because of the new minor shinobi village called Sound, with R. Rumors of the snake Sennin being the Otokage in said village participating in the Chunin exams in Konoha. Rumors about mutant ninjas in Oto was also a cause of alarm, as the higher-ups of Konoha really thought it is the work of Orochimaru. Though they still don't have evidence to confirm it. Kakashi was tasked to infiltrate Iwa and determine if they made contact with the new village, Konoha may face an invasion. Fortunately, there was none to report, though their hatred towards Konoha, or more specifically, towards the Yondaime didn't simmer down. Suna also came into their watch as their dame. Yo sent more missions to Konoha than their own village, and that didn't help Suna as the weakest of the big five. Both of them could be used by Orochimaru, though Minato sent him to Iwa because of the alliance between Konoha and Suna. With Minato in a belief that they will still honor it, he was forced out of his thoughts when he saw his students. He observed the three. He could tell that they worked hard in the past months. Especially Sakura. She didn't look like a lost puppy always following Sasuke with love-struck expression. Speaking of the Uchiha, he now looked more relaxed. His eyes doesn't look very dark now, unlike the first time he saw him. Naruto, as usual, was grinning, hands in his pockets and the exaggerated walk. Yo, Kakashi greeted. You're almost late. Got lost on the road of life. Sasuke replied in monotone voice, his face blank. Well, sensei, I'm on my way here when I saw a black cat cross my path, so I took a new path around. Sakura replied too innocently. Heh, sorry. I got held back. I couldn't find my sword, so, Naruto replied with a shrug, his grin widening. Kakashi's sweat dropped. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Kakashi deadpanned. Naruto, you're not a swordsman. Naruto didn't reply for a moment and just looking at him with his grin. Then he snapped his fingers, as if he had come to a realization. Right, I forgot, Naruto replied, chuckling. Kakashi sighed. Anyway, I'm not keeping you anymore here. I know you all trained yourselves from the past months. I'll see you all later. Good luck, Kakashi said with a two-fingered salute as he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. He arrived at the Hokage Tower. He knew the Sandame will watch the first exams with his crystal ball. He saw the other Konoha Junins also there, and offered a wave of greeting. Sensei, Kushina-ne, Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama, Sandame-sama. Kakashi said, nodding at the aforementioned persons. Kakashi, looks like you're passing your tardiness to your teams, I see. Tsunade said, yes, they also got my excuses, but Naruto has his own set though, Kakashi replied with his eye smile. He said something about he couldn't find his sword even though he's not a swordsman. The other's sweat dropped at the excuse, though the Sandame just chuckled good-naturedly. What a youthful way to counter my eternal rival's attitude. Truly Naruto-kun is a genius. Guy boomed. You said something. One day, Kakashi, one day, Guy muttered, silently cursing about hip attitudes. Kakashi and the other Junins watched as the rookies interact, and as Team 11 entered. Most of the genins from foreign villages glared at Naruto, who was cleaning his sunglasses, and muttering about arrogant brat. Naruto glared at the Rain genin who said that while walking to a vacant seat. His teammates following him as the room became suddenly quiet. His dark blue eyes kept glaring at the Rain kid, who was sweating bullets now, waiting for the blonde to say something. Until Naruto reached his preferred sit and pulled out a book, reading something. Will you say something already? The genin shouted. His teammate recovered after seeing the glare and demanded to Naruto. Hey, are you messing with us? You wanna fight? The genin demanded. Would have sounded intimidating if he didn't stutter, Kushina muttered. She wouldn't admit it, but she was having fun on what Naruto was doing right now. Naruto's glare returned full force, making the genin who demanded cower. He didn't reply for a full 7 seconds. Forget it, Naruto growled. If you do that, someone will die. He said while maintaining his glare. Poor kid, Asuma Sarutobi said to the AIM Nin. He heard of what Naruto did back in Wave when he was angered, and by the looks Naruto is having now. The AIM Nin regained his composure. Oh yeah, and who would that be? He replied with false bravado. Me. Cue face plants from some of the genin that was getting nervous from the tension, as well as Asuma who didn't expect such a reply. His father laughed loudly, as is Tsunade. Kurenai Yuahi giggled at the sensei of Team 10, one hand covering her mouth as Asuma stood back up, one of his brows twitching. Sasuke and Sakura looked devoid of emotion, though inside, they were laughing their asses. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered, though amusement was dancing in his eyes. Listen, you, the AIM. Genin roared standing on his seat as his female teammate clamped a hand at his shoulder. Calm down, hothead. No need to get angry, alright. The girl said. We can talk about this in civil. She finished. Ed as her teammate backed down reluctantly. Hey, who are you and what made you this mad at my teammates? The girl asked and she squeaked fearfully as Naruto aimed his glare at her. She waited for 10 full seconds before Naruto answered. Miss, Naruto hissed. Isn't it impolite to ask questions before you introduce yourself? Right. My bad. The girl cleared her throat. Ehem, my name is Naruto, a genin here in the village hidden in the leaves under Junin-sensei Kakashi Hatake. I am 14 years old. My favorite food, Naruto listed. You, the girl roared, pulling out a kunai as Sakura roared in laughter as she fell on fours, pounding her fist on the ground, her eyes tearing a bit. Sasuke just turned around, though his shoulders visibly shaking. Kiba, Choji and, unknown to them, Lee, was laughing out loud. Neji snorted, very rare for a Hyuga, especially on public. Tenten, Ino, and Satsuki all giggled silently on their own. Shino didn't look any different, just watching the madness. Shikamaru just muttered about troublesome blondes under his breath. Hinata didn't know if she should laugh or stop her fellow rookies from their own bouts of laughter. Mito and Menma also looked amused. Though they may not like their older brother, but they like what he's doing to the foreign genins right now. In the tower, Hiruzen, Tsunade and even Kushina burst in laughter. Kakashi just shook his head as he felt pity for the Rain team being targeted by Naruto. Minato just chuckled while Jiraiya snickered to himself. The rookies stopped laughing when Kabuto appeared and said that they were garnering attention. Kakashi watched as his team approached the other Konoha rookies talking with Kabuto. Oh, and why's that? Kiba asked. Kabuto just pointed at the foreign genins glaring at them. Especially the team from Rain. Naruto just chuckled. Take it from someone who has experience from these exams. Kabuto said. Experience. So you've participated before? Shikamaru said. Yes. In fact this is my 7th try. Kabuto replied sheepishly. What a drag. Kabuto chuckled. Maybe I can help you all. I have these cards with informations about all the participants here. So, do you have someone you want to know about? Sakura asked about Gaara. The youngest of the Yondaime Cage. It was said here that he had no D ranks. Mostly C ranks and a couple of B ranks. Impressive, Kabuto said, much to the shock of Sakura and some genins. And get this, he didn't receive a single wound from those missions. He exclaimed. Most of the occupants in the Hokage's office were impressed. Though the 3rd and the 4th narrowed their eyes slightly. Is that so? Naruto grinned. I have one also. Who would you want now? Me. I guess you want some info about me, huh? Menma boasted. Mito ignored him as she watched Naruto indifferently, though she was curious who he wants. Who do you want to know? Kabuto asked. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto replied much to shock and confusion of the others. What are you doing? Sasuke whispered to Naruto. He just waved him off as he observed the glasses-wearing genin. Some of the Junins watched in confusion but Kakashi, Hiruzen, Minato, and Jiraiya all saw the momentary panic that crossed Kabuto's face. Minato called one of the Anbu. Watch these Kabuto Yakushi after the first stage. Minato instructed to the cat-masked female Anbu. Okay, so, according to my cards, it says he is the roadie on his batch. His team completed 17 D ranks and an A rank with his teammates Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha of Team 11 under Kakashi Hatake. Though the A rank mission is shared with Team 7. Naruto chuckled as he went back to his seat. He just confirmed something, and if he knew the old man, he came to the same conclusion as well. At the tower, Hiruzen nodded at the current leader and his 2 former students. Why did you ask about yourself? Sakura questioned Naruto. Before he could answer her, the proctor entered. All right, you all listen up. I'm Ibiki Morino, and I'm your proctor here on the first part of your exams. Ibiki Morino said in a gruff voice. You all form a line in front of me and pick a number to determine your seat. Maybe a written exam, Daffy thought. He made his way to his designated seat. He recognized one of his seatmates, Hinata Hyuga, and the other from Taki who looked nervous for some reason. Daffy looked around and saw Sasuke sat near the window and Sakura sat in the front rows. As he saw the test papers, he knew something is wrong. He can proudly say that he's a genius but the questions looked too advanced. He listened as the proctor explained the rules. And the rules are strange. You start with 10 points, losing a point in every wrong answers, are left unanswered. This meant that, unlike the other tests, you can pass even if you only answered one question. And the rule about cheating. They were allowed to cheat 3 times before they were disqualified. Daffy was confused. Why let them have that number of times to cheat when they could just disqualify them after they caught them for the first time? Unless. Daffy looked back to his paper, reading the questions, and he knew the other participants cannot answer all the questions. So we're supposed to cheat, huh? Daffy grinned. It was easy, it was almost underwhelming. Almost. 52 minutes. The time before the 10th question. Lots of time before the final question. He decided to have some fun. He stretched his observation hockey to find the rain genin from earlier. The kid sat on the back row beside another foreign genin. He flicked his middle finger. Time to have some fun. Parasite string. Mito suddenly sensed Naruto's chakra moving. She also discovered that they were supposed to cheat in the test, and from the number of genins using various techniques to cheat, she came to that conclusion. But sensing Naruto using some of his techniques, she was immediately on guard. Considering on what he did earlier, he knew he was stirring up trouble. If Mito was correct, Naruto is using his strings again. It latched onto the rain nin from earlier. She hears the rain ninja whispering in panic, and then a sound of flesh hitting flesh rang. Number 72, you're disqualified. Number 89 and 21 also failed. The proctor announced. Wait a minute, that wasn't me. The genins' excuses were unheard of as they were dragged out of the room by the Chunin supervising the exams. Mito shook her head. She couldn't stop herself, no matter how hard she tried, to stop herself from smirking. She really is Kushina's daughter. Trouble is really a part of their blood. She could only offer pity to that genin. Line break. Well, seeing that Ibiki's method did not remove most of you, expect that right now for the second part of the exam. And I welcome you to the Forest of Death. Enko Mitarashi, the proctor of the second part of the exam, exclaimed. Now form a line in front of the Chunins and you sign up these papers. What are these for? Ino asked. Enko smirked deviously. The second part of these exams has a high possibility that some of you will never make it out of these forest, dead or alive. These waivers are proof that I won't be held accountable if something happens to you. She said cheerily. Most of the genins look nervous. Daffy chuckled silently. I'm really liking this people from TI more and more. Of course, Sakura rolled her eyes. Sasuke just grunted. Daffy just ignored them as the proctor continued. Your mission is to reach the tower inside the forest in 5 days, but you must have these 2 scrolls. Enko held up 2 scrolls labeled, Heaven, and Earth. You also have to have your whole team when entering the tower. If one of your team members is dead or incapacitated, you're automatically disqualified. And one last thing, don't open the scrolls. After the explanation, Sakura went to get their scroll into the designated entrance. They burst through the forest, jumping through branches for an hour. They decided to let Sakura to lead. Daffy knew how much she needed confidence after what the proctor said earlier. They stopped near the river. Okay, I have 2 ways to complete these tests. Our priority is still to acquire the Earth Scroll. The first is to find the scroll and head straight to the tower, or we could stay behind and remove some competitions. Sakura said, I'll go for the first if you ask me. We don't know what this forest have for us and we can use the remaining time to rest for the final part of the exams. Are you okay with my plan? She asked. Both her teammates nodded. It'd be boring for a while but better in the long run. Naruto said. Well, I guess we have a plan now. He suddenly stopped as he looked to his side, his grin gone. Move, now, Naruto said commandingly. Sasuke and Sakura didn't think twice. They knew he was serious, and they heard something in his voice, urgency. They only moved for a few feet when Naruto suddenly appeared to their side. Spiderweb. White strings burst from his palm and formed into what the name of the technique is. Naruto kicked both of his teammates away as strong gust of wind burst through the trees. The trees where his strings attached were uprooted and he was hit by the gust of wind, sending him deeper in the forest. The last thing he heard was his teammates shouting his name. He groaned, but thanks to his haki, he would have been in a more fatal condition. That blast of wind that hit him was strong. He stretched out his observation haki. The first thing that registered to him was a huge presence, and it is very close to his location. He couldn't dwell on searching for his team as the presence before lunged at him. A snake, Daffy thought out loud. He jumped away as an oversized snake jumps at him with its fangs bared. While Daffy was dodging the snake, his mind is running a mile a minute. From the chats he have with the old man, and from what he could think this snake that has a larger amount of chakra than the wildlife here in Forest of Death, Only 2 people have a hold on snakes. Daffy knew one of them is loyal to the village. Unless it was an order from the Hokage. Enko would not add his summons here in this test. So it was clear to him on who summoned this big snake, and he knew he couldn't waste any more time here. Daffy let a small burst of his haki, knowing the instincts of the snake that he is in a presence of a much more dangerous position. The snake faltered for a moment, and that's what Daffy wanted. With a little bit of haki, shaven finger pistol, blood erupted from the snake's body, but Daffy didn't pay much attention as he threw the trees to his teammates. He sensed their chakra is running erratically in the presence of another person with a much more larger and vile signature. "Yeah, think you can take him?" He heard a voice in his head. "Right now. Of course I can beat him, no problem. He's a wanted person, especially here in Konohasa. He wouldn't want to have a full-blown fight right now. Though I don't know what he wants to a group of genins." Daffy said, murmuring the last part. "HMPH, I guess that makes sense. But remember, if you die, I die. Don't let yourself get in a pinch. I know that, don't worry. I know you're soft-hearted like your fur." He ignored the indignant roars of his tenant, concentrating on reaching his teammates. "What are you doing here, Orochimaru?" Line break. Sakura expected the exams would be easy enough. She also knew that her team would not steamroll the exams. The first part of the exams was a bit hard. But after Kakashi-sensei drilled in their heads, to look beyond the underneath, she knew what to do in the paper test. The chaos Naruto secretly started also helped her. The second part of the exams is hard. She also knew that a survival test inside a creepy forest with lots of creepy animals, some of them oversized, killing is allowed, and learning to live with ONLY what you currently have for 5 days. Sakura knew this is a simulation on how Chunins operate in a mission, and Sakura expected that anything could happen to her and her teammates. But of all things she expected, this certainly is not one of them. The rogue ninja, Orochimaru of the Sannin, is here. Sakura knew that something is definitely wrong when Naruto spoke seriously, ordering them to move with haste. The next thing she knew, Naruto moved fast next to them and kicked both her and Sasuke as Naruto summoned a huge spiderweb and a blast of wind hit him, sending him away. She heard someone laughing, and it was creepy too. Sakura saw a pale-skinned man with long black hair, gold eyes with a slit that looked like an eye of a snake. But what really creeped her out was the tongue that was too long to be normal. After the initial feeling of uneasiness left her and as she gathered herself, she recognized the description of this man, but the name eluded her. She was forced out of her thoughts as Sasuke's voice rang out. "Who are you? What did you do to Naruto?" Sakura saw him glaring at the pale-skinned man. "Don't worry about your teammate Sasuke, I just want to test for a little bit." Black eyes morphed into red with 2 tomos circling around. "Oh, the famous Jujutsu, the Sharingan. Quite a sight to see, though a bit different from your brother and a bit weaker than his." "Much weaker." Sakura knew that if this guy wants to push Sasuke's buttons, he is doing excellently, though the feeling of dread won't leave her. As soon as those words were uttered, Sasuke raged. He charged with 2 kunais in both hands, intent on skewering the creepy man. The initial attack was dodged, and so the others that followed. The fight continued that way for a time. Sasuke attacking with reckless abandon. Sakura thought Sasuke came from a civilian family, what with how he fights right now. His opponent dodges every stab and slash with grace, bending out of the way, like a snake. EPT nagging at the back of her head as Sakura thought of the description of this man and when she thought about snakes. Sakura shook her head, and she looked at Sasuke, their eyes met for a second and they both nod. Good thing Sasuke regained his bearings. Sakura thought. She knew it is a sour topic when involving Sasuke's family, especially his brother. She grabbed her kunais, and launched her own assault from the pale man's back. She moved for a stab, but the grabbed her arm, knocking her kunai and threw her to Sasuke. The boy dodged, and launched his kunais, though they were all batted away. Sasuke weaved through hand seals, and threw a huge fireball against the man, forcing him to leap backwards. The man looked entertained, even if a bit disappointed. Sakura took her remaining kunais and launched them against the man. Most were deflected and a couple landed near his feet. There was a hiss, signifying the use of an explosive tag, forcing the man to leap back to a trunk of a tree. Akura brought her last kunai with ninja wires wrapped around it and threw it on another tree beside the one the pale freak backed onto. She leapt onto the other side, holding the end of the ninja wire and trapping the man on the wires and the tree. Sasuke took it as the cue, weaving through hand signs. "Kaden, Ryuka no Jutsu. The last thing Sakura saw of the man was the disappointed, if a bit used look on his face as the dragon of fire hit him dead on. "Yeah, think we got, I am?" Sasuke asked between his panting. Before Sakura could answer, that creepy laughter sounded behind them and a huge wave of killing intent hit the both of them. It was like they were back in their disastrous C rank, but much more potent. Before she could think of it further, she was kicked in her stomach, sending her rolling on the ground. Impressive. Such teamwork is truly impressive, but teamwork is not enough to beat me though. Nonetheless, I applaud your efforts. The man said mockingly. Especially you, Sasuke-kun. Who are you? Sakura said weakly. She looked at Sasuke, who was paler than his usual color. Ah yes, where are manners? I am Orochimaru. Both genins paled further, the name hammered into them back in the academy. And I have a gift for you, Sasuke. As he said that, his neck grew unimaginable lengths, his mouth open, flying to Sasuke. Sasuke, athlete. Sakura heard a familiar voice. And saw a black foot hit the rogue nin's jaw, sending him away, though the man crumbled into mud as he hit the ground. I didn't know that a member of the famed Sannin lacks in manners. Not inviting me on your party, really? Naruto said chuckling. Orochimaru looked at the newcomer, and Sakura didn't like the look the Sannin have right now. He looked fascinated, and looking at Naruto like he was strapped in a table. Ready to dissect him. Orochimaru chuckled, well if it isn't the failure of the Namikaze. I didn't expect you to defeat my summon this fast. The Sannin said as he reappeared. Naruto didn't reply, he just brought out an earth scroll and chucked it to Sasuke. You two move to the tower. I know you both recognize him. Go, I'll catch up to both of you. After a moment, they ran towards the tower. Don't worry Sakura, he's strong, just trust him. Sasuke reassured, though it sounded unconvincing. You better get back, Naruto. Sakura could only hope that nothing bad would happen to him. But she knew who his opponent. She could only trust him. Line break. That would have been painful if that kick hit me, and he managed to snatch my scroll. Interesting, this child, Orochimaru thought as he observed the Jinchuriki. He knew this kid, from the reports Kabuto sent to him. It is practically the talk in Konoha, the one who was to be a weakling, a failure, and was removed as the next head of the Namikaze and Uzumaki clans. And became the outcast in the village. Though by the time Naruto's batch entered the academy, Orochimaru was informed by Kabuto that this Naruto achieved the top rankings in the academy, according to Mizuki. Tell you the truth, I forgot about Mizuki. So what happened to him was like from canon, though Menma's the one who was tricked. At first, Orochimaru held some mild interest about this kid, though considering what the academy lessons are too easy and they are in a more peaceful time, his intrigue did not last long. Naruto's name sounded again after the genin's first C rank. From what Kabuto said, Naruto was called a demon, not that he is in the bingo book, though the means on why he was called a demon was unknown. Maybe considering it's only bandits. Orochimaru was sure it was easy to scare them, or the beast sealed inside him regained its chakra. If it is the latter, he may be a problem in the future, though. Clearly he doesn't have training on how to handle the beast's chakra. But now, he is really starting to think that it was a mistake to observe this kid. Ho, I admit you've got some guts, child. Quite a heroic thing you just did. Letting your teammates escape while you think you can hold me off. Orochimaru said tauntingly, expecting the brat to show some signs of nervousness. There was none, he just answered with a chuckle. Heroic? No, I'm no hero. My teammates just acknowledge that you're a big threat to us right now, Naruto said, and they also know that I'm stronger than the both of them. He finished while preparing himself. And you think that you're enough to handle me, a Sannin? Orochimaru bit back, tensing himself. He felt what the brat said, that he is stronger than his teammates, is true. And he knew nothing of his skills or abilities. Add the fact that he couldn't really fully fight right now, no doubt he would be sensed by the Hokage or his former sensei. Heh, I should be the one asking that. Are you enough to handle? Right here, right now. Naruto replied, grounding the last words with a vicious grin. So he knew. Orochimaru mentally frowned, before he launched himself at the brat. Throwing a kunai mid-flight. Naruto jumped backwards, one middle finger stretched forward and slashing in the air. Orochimaru widened his eyes slightly as the kunai was cut in half. He didn't let it falter him. Lashing out a leg for a kick. Naruto blocked it with his own leg, then using his other leg to jump, avoiding the fist. Orochimaru threw a couple of kunais at Naruto, assuming that he couldn't dodge them in mid-air. Something unexpected happened, as the kid moved to the side and dodged the projectiles mid-air. The kid looked like he was floating. He didn't get tea. Oh, think about it more as his instinct screamed at him to dodge. Just the kid swiped his hand. He leapt to the side, dodging whatever it was. Ninja wires. No strings. Orochimaru was cut off from Hai's musings as he heard the kid launch his attack. Rankyaku. Tempest kick. Naruto lashed out his right leg, slicing the air and sending a projectile at him. Orochimaru evaded and moved away to put a distance between them. He's full of surprises, that's for sure. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, observing the surroundings. They really are strings, so that's how he can stay and move in mid-air. All of the strings is connected to him and his surroundings to keep himself steady and move in mid-air. And they're sharp enough to cut deep in the ground. And that projectile from his kick, I didn't sense chakra from that attack. Orochimaru grinned, his tongue visible. He's unique, strong, and I bet he's got the brains of his father. I have to have him as my next body or in my fold. He thought as he pulled out his sword, Kusanagi, cutting the strings and extending towards the falling brat. Another unexpected thing happened, as the kid kicked the air multiple times, then disappeared, completely dodging the blade. He reappeared a few feet away from him mid-landing. Orochimaru knew what he had to do. After the display this kid showed, he knew he had to have him. With this kid's body and a pair of Sharingan, he would have the perfect vessel, and he would be unstoppable. He stretched his neck, hurtling towards the boy's neck with his mouth wide open. He latched onto him before he could react. He was elated as he bit the boy. He could almost see the completion of his plans, the perfect vessel he would soon have. It was then that when he didn't taste any blood, he knew something was wrong. He looked at where he is currently biting. It was all white, all strings, unraveling and exploding outwards, wrapping his body. He knew these strings are sharp, and he need to do something, and fast. Thinking fast, he used his unique substitution, hoping he was not too late. A pair of hands appeared, and another Orochimaru appeared, just as his previous self was sliced to pieces. Orochimaru fell on one knee. His unique substitution took a lot of chakra. It was also practically a beacon to announce his presence. Fufufufufu, Orochimaru glared up, grabbing his Kusanagi as Naruto chuckled maliciously at one of the branches. Do you have an answer now, Orochimaru? Naruto asked, that insufferable grin still plastered in his face. Orochimaru glared for a moment before he smirked. You are quite a puzzle, Naruto-kun. A puzzle, to be precise. Unfortunately, I do not have time for another bout. If you'll excuse me. He ran. Orochimaru ran away. The sheer thought was absurd. It infuriated him. He would have wanted to thrash the boy around if it weren't for the fact that the use of his unique substitution is a clear message of his presence. Add the fact that he didn't put a cursed seal at Sasuke, bringing a new bout rage and disbelief. And where do you think you're going? Orochimaru wouldn't admit, but he was surprised that the boy caught up to him. Do you really think you can get away from me? Fulbright. Orochimaru was forced to defend as 5 white strings descended onto him. He blocked it with his Kusanagi, cutting the surprisingly durable strings. He looked at the brat. Who would have launched another attack if not for the boy suddenly halted, frowning momentarily, no doubt distracted by the Anbu approaching them. The Sannin used his blade, extending towards the boy, who dodged by jumping away but got nicked on his right leg. Naruto was forced to leap away as he looked at the newcomer. Orochimaru could tell that the boy is slightly panting. You know, I would have liked you here longer to keep me entertained, but me and my team got a more important things to do, like continuing the exams. So could you stop running and die? Orochimaru glowered at the brat. He would have attacked the brat if not for his experience in keeping a hold of his emotions. He took a deep breath. It would seem that my plans didn't go as I hoped. But no matter, this is only a minor setback. Orochimaru jumped away, intent on escaping, but stopped as he addressed the Jinchuriki. He smirked maliciously. By the way, Naruto-kun, I'm sure you know that I possess the contract on snakes. That means that I also have access to the numerous types of venoms. Oh, what are you getting at? Naruto asked. Just a little bit of my newly created poison, and my blade, the Kusanagi, have some of my poison. Naruto's smile twitched a little. It would be a shame if you die early. Of course, I have the antidote, and I would give it to you willingly. If you pledge your allegiance to me, that is. It's true. It was a poison of his own creation and he does have the antidote. He didn't expect to fail his personal mission here, so he created this backup plan on the fly. But he knew that his foe, RMER teammate, could heal the boy and perhaps create her own antidote. He's not joking. You're poisoned and I can't flush it all out, just slow a bit, it's spread through your bloodstream. If this is from a normal snake, I would have flushed it out no problem. But this is kind of new. I see I got careless back there. He could have prevented it if he hadn't been too cocky. His hockey could have stopped the blade from cutting him. You can just go to that super doctor later after this stupid exams, you know. Before Naruto could answer the Sannin, a feminine voice shouted out with venom and hatred all too clearly. You bastard! You're not getting away. Kaden, Ryuka no Jutsu. A fire dragon soared through the air, hitting where the rogue nin and his accomplice stood. There's a huge explosion with large billows of smoke emerging. But no bodies could be seen. Well, that's a powerful fire technique, Proctor-san, though it didn't really affected him. Naruto said to the purple-haired Kunoichi. I can't sense him around anymore. He escaped. TCH, that bastard, Enko muttered angrily. Wait, did you fought the snake bastard? A nod was her answer. And you're still alive? He nods again. Sorry if I don't believe you, brat. But as much as I hate to say it, he's strong and… Heh, I know Proctor-san. But I only beat him because he couldn't fight in full power because someone would definitely sensed him. Naruto said. Enko thought that made sense, but still she was still unsure. And it's not like he knew my abilities, so I guess I just got the element of surprise back there. Right, go now. I'm gonna report this to Hokage-sama. After the second part of the exams, expect to be called by the Hokage for your report. Enko said as she flickered out of sight. Well, that's refreshing. He stretched his observation haki and found his teammates. Better get back at them. Line break. Rasengan. The Taki Nin was hit dead on by the swirling ball of chakra. Mema smirked in Sati's faction as he looked at the unconscious Taki Genin as he fished out a heaven scroll. The Genin team from Taki that was hidden and lying in wait to ambush others, but Menma's sister being a censor and Satsuki covering area with an illusion. They ambushed their would-be ambushers. And all we have to do is to reach the tower team. Menma said energetically. He noticed her sister frowning slightly. Mito. Mito jumped slightly as she saw her teammates looking at her. What? You look like you want to take a shit and kept looking at a distance as if you want to go to a toilet. Satsuki rolled her eyes. What's wrong? Shut up. Mito flushed angrily. I just sensed a couple of large chakra signatures. I have a bad feeling at these two individuals. One felt like us, the other is too vile, too malevolent. And no, it's not him. Just because he smiles creepily means it's him. Mito emphasized the last word as she saw Menma opening his mouth. Though he's close to one of those two, too close in fact. What about Sasuke? Satsuki said in a nonchalant tone, though she couldn't keep the worry from her voice. They're not moving so I guess they're fine. Mito replied. And where's that weakling? Menma looked confused. He's having company, and hostile at that. If I'm not mistaken, they're the team from Oto. 1. Menma didn't reply. He was contemplating on what to do. They can go straight to the tower. Or visit Team 11. Though Menma wouldn't admit out loud, he knew Naruto was strong. He looked like he has a lot of experience in battles like some Junin War veterans, too much experience considering their age. You want to check Team 11? Menma asked his teammates. Though it's not like they're in trouble. So we could just go to the tour now. You two wouldn't check on your brother? Nah, not worth the effort, Menma replied. Besides, trouble follows that smiling bastard. Come on, let's just go to the tower. Line break. Tamari watched her youngest brother squashed an unfortunate Rain Genin. Watching his brother turning people into blood and mush, she was used to this, much to her sanity. Gaara gripped his head, no doubt because of the demon inside him. She wanted to help him, comfort him. But she couldn't. If she did, she would have been covered in sand. She couldn't help but curse her father internally. She understood the situation of their village. The income was too low. And the wind daimyo didn't help matters. Now they were forced to betray their ally, and even with help of the Sound Village and Orochimaru, she doubted they would still win. Even if by some miracle they did win, she was sure that casualties will be high, with the possibility of her included, it would still weaken their village, win or lose. Not to mention, people would also be wary of them considering them betraying their ally. All in all, she knew the outcome will be bad for them. She could see Kankuro thinking the same. Gaara needs help. Tamari will find one, she promised. She would find help, even if she sell her soul to a demon. Tamari, Kankuro, come. We have what we need. Line break. Kiba Inuzuka run as fast as he could. His teammates not far behind him. He didn't care if someone noticed them. All he wanted is to get away from that sand genin. His instincts screaming at him. And he didn't thought otherwise. After watching that bloody display of the redhead's sand, he wanted to vomit right then and there. But for the sake of his team's position, he didn't want to be the reason for them to be compromised in their hiding place. But it took his everything to stop himself from hurling his breakfast. What the hell is that? Kiba asked between pants. They were running for an hour since and currently resting on a high branch. His partner Akamaru whimpered inside his jacket. I do not know for sure, Kiba-san. But I think the best course of action is to steer clear away from the sand team. Shino answered, though he may look composed like always. But from the amount of sweat dripping down from his forehead was any indication, he can safely say that most of his sweat didn't came from running like hell. Yeah, no shit, Kiba bit back. He looked at his other teammate. Hinata looked rather pale. He grabbed her shoulders in an attempt to comfort her. Don't worry, Hinata, I'm sure we're far enough away from that freak. We also have both scrolls. So we don't have to spend any more time here in this creepy forest. Hinata just nodded. She was still shaken from what she had witnessed. I suggest we move to the tower now, and have some much-needed rest, especially for Hinata. Shino called. Yeah, come on, I don't wanna stay here any longer. Line break. Kin, Dosu, and Zaku jumped through trees, searching for the missing member of Team 11. Orochimaru gave them new orders. Do whatever you want to do on the blonde kid, Naruto. Kin didn't know why their master ordered them with something like this, though she didn't care. Dosu raised a hand, halting them in their tracks. I guess he's expecting us. Kin looked where his bandaged teammate facing at. She couldn't understand how this blonde can fight with his current attire, though clearly it didn't bother the blonde. Despite looking like attending a party with a daimyo. So, the blonde started. Something you need from me? The blonde questioned. Kin observed him. He looked like in pain or something similar to that. He's sweating a lot, and she guessed that it didn't came from tree jumping. Yeah, we want you dead. But please, use your remaining time to keep us entertained. Zaku bit back. Well, that's unfortunate. I guess we're stuck here for the time being. Blondie replied grinning, his hands shoved in his pockets. Zaku replied with a punch as he launched himself. Blondie blocked the punch with a knee and using his other leg, kicking Zaku on the chest, sending him rolling to the ground. Blondie rushed to Zaku, lashing out another kick. Zaku blocked it with his arm, but he didn't expected the force. And a resounding crack rang out. He clutched his broken arm, yelling in pain. Dosu joined the fray, brandishing his kunais. Blondie brought out his left hand, moving his fingers in the air like using a guitar. Kin barely heard Blondie murmuring, "Parasite." Kin was about to join too when she was forced to throw her kunais at the bandaged kid. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Her teammate demanded. I can't control my arms, that's what. She looked at the chuckling blonde. What did you do to me? Fufufufu. Why, I just don't want to fight you, and I have to get back to my team, and fast. So I need your help against your teammate, Fufufufu. Blondie chuckled. Kin thought this kid could give Orochimaru a run for his money on who has the creepiest chuckles. What, just because I'm a girl, you wouldn't want to fight me? Well, aren't you a gentleman? She replied sarcastically rolling her eyes. Fufufufu. Well, as they say, whatever makes you sleep at night. Dosu narrowed his eyes. He saw some strange wires on Kin connected to the kid's fingers. So that's how he's doing it. He can control people like puppets. What a scary individual this one. Dosu launched himself to his female teammate, intending to cut those strings. His other teammate looked Zaku was preoccupied with a clone, making him wonder when did the kid made one. But as Dosu reached his teammate, he felt something hit him. It felt like killing intent without the feeling of death looming at himself. He looked at Kin, she also looked a bit shaken. As I said, I don't have time to deal with you all. I'm saying this once. Get out of my way and maybe I'll spare you to see the next sunrise. The blonde said, his grin wider and twitching as whatever it was, hit Dosu harder, forcing him to comply. TCH. Whatever. Just pray that we don't cross paths in the future. Kin sneered after regaining some bravado. Dosu didn't know what it was. It felt like killing intent from his master. Just without the images of his deaths. It was like he was being tamed like a wild animal. He shook his head as he grabbed Zaku, running away from that blonde demon. Line break. Took you long enough. Sasuke muttered as Naruto appeared. You look like you just came out of a battlefield. Naruto's clothes have some tears and scratches. Sasuke also noticed the cut on his leg with a bit of a swelling. What happened? Sakura asked as she too noticed the cut on his leg. Your cut on your leg looks like poisoned. Orochimaru did that, didn't he? Yeah, but don't worry. I'm too awesome to die from being poisoned, heh. Naruto replied in his usual manner. Come on, let's just go too. Naruto was cut off in a coughing fit. That damn pasty face, he whispered. No, you can't move properly right now, Naruto. Sakura said with a tone of finality. Here's what we gonna do. We have at least 4 days to reach the tower. We're gonna use some of it to rest. And we're only gonna go there if I give you the green light. Capiche? Sakura glared at Naruto. He just raised his hands in surrender. Heh, when you put it like that, okay doc. What happened to Orochimaru? Sasuke asked. What does he want from me? He escaped. I just fought him for a while hoping some would sense that pale freak. Fortunately, the proctor did, though he's living through his name as the Snake Sage. He's slippery, that bastard. Naruto replied. But what did a Sannin wants from a group genin? Sakura cried. She really was shaken after facing the infamous rogue ninja. Why did he approach Sasuke specifically? I can only assume he came here for the Sharingan. Though I don't know why me. The Uchiha muttered. Guess he assumed that we're easier to deal with than the twin heroes of Konoha. Both looked confused, and Naruto clarified. The twins are the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, progeny of the two of the most powerful ninjas in Konoha. With that kind of potential plus the Kyuubi, you would Avenue 2 skilled ninjas stopping you on getting to your sister. And back at the academy, some of the instructors recognized her as the better of the two of you, Sasuke. And I guess it's fortunate for you. That Shizuka still don't have her Sharingan. Naruto concluded. Yon gonna hit the hay, for now. Doctor's orders. Sasuke nodded, though he looked deep in his thoughts. Go to sleep, Sakura. I'll take first watch. Line break. Dafi. Sakura and Sasuke finally arrived at the tower. Approaching the gate, they saw a carved message on the wall. If you do not possess heaven, gain knowledge and be prepared. If you do not possess earth, run through the fields and seek through. If you open both heaven and earth scrolls, dangerous paths turns into safe ones. This is the secret of something. What do you make of these, guys? Sakura asked. Guess they want us to open the scrolls. Sasuke answered with a shrug. Dafi just nodded. He felt better than his first day being poisoned, though it doesn't mean he's cured. Sakura theorized that if he didn't do something strenuous, the poison in his body will spread slower. Sasuke opened both scrolls. As soon as he saw the contents, he tossed both, all three jumped back. It revealed a sealing formula, a puff of smoke and a familiar presence standing there according from his haki. Ah, Team 11, congratulations for passing the second part of the exams. I was wondering who summoned me. Yumi no Iruka greeted the three. Heh, so what's next? Are we gonna have to beat your ass, Iruka-sensei? Naruto asked. No, of course not. The Hokage will arrive at the 5th day to explain the third and final part of the exams. Right now, you can use the rest as to relax. There are several rooms still available for every team. Team 11 acknowledged. Walking through the front door as Iruka disappeared. Entering the tower, they were met with a very large room. They weren't the only ones there. Teams 7, 8 and 9 were there along with the team from S. Una where the red-haired Jinchuriki belong, as well as the team from Sound. Dafi focused on red hair with the gourd. From what his tenant said to him, the one-tails, Shukaku, drives their jailer to insanity. And as evidenced on how the red-haired kid was looking at him right now with a manic grin. Dafi grinned back as they walked to one of the rooms given to them. They entered and saw a pretty normal-looking room with 3 beds. Sakura immediately plopped on one of the beds. Thanked Kami, how I missed this. Can't believe they want us to camp there for 5 days. That forest is too creepy. Dafi chuckled at her words. Relaxing on the bed next to her. Heh, I was having fun. Sakura just looked at him with a deadpan expression. Of course, you would have. Unfortunately, I am not some kind of a super being. Dafi laughed. Heh, you're right. That is unfortunate. Sakura pouted. She grabbed her pillow and threw it at Naruto. He used his strings to lift himself, avoiding the projectile. The pillow kept going and it hit Sasuke on the back, who was sitting on the edge of the bed, taking off his footwear. The pillow sent him face first on the floor, not expecting to be hit inside their room. Dafi grinned, calling off his strings and sat on his bed. Sakura looked horrified. Sasuke, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. Sasuke slowly got up, and glared at the two of them. He grabbed his pillow, halting Sakura from her apology. And thus, war has begun. Line break. For the last 2 days, Team 11 waited for the second part of the exam to begin. All of the rookie genin of Konoha made it to the tower. As well as Lee's team. Kabuto and his team also arrived. During those days, Team 11 was bored, usually playing cards that Naruto got somewhere, or talking with the other Konoha teams. The fourth arrived, and will announce the next part. All genins moved in front of the Hokage in the arena. They all looked towards the Yellow Flash, who began his speech. Daffy tuned out most of it, preferring to observe the other genins. Most were teams from Konoha, all of the rookies were included. There were a few from other villages, but his most concern is the team from Suna, Team 7 and Kabuto. Daffy then heard his chance to thin out competition. The faster this finished, the sooner he can get to the hospital to make an antidote. Unfortunately, there are too many of you to proceed the final exam. So, we're gonna have an elimination round to thin you out. The fourth explained. Kiba asked, elimination round? What for? What's the problem if we're too many here? The Hokage cleared his throat and prepared to explain to the Inuzuka kid. The final round of the Chunin exams is to be held in front of several individuals of high prestige. The exams was designed his way to show the village's power and strength to attract potential clients and businesses. But because of the difficult nature of arranging so many VIPs, the event must be short. Minato explained. Now are there any of you who wants to drop out? Sasuke and Sakura looked at Naruto in concern, though he just grinned at them. They looked at Naruto for a few moments before nodding at him. I will. Kabuto raised his hand. I am not fully recovered yet, so I wish to back out right now. Daffy looked at Four Eyes, and he also noticed Mito looking at the dropout Leaf Nin with her eyes narrowed. Some genins also backed out, and the Hokage nodded his head towards a sickly-looking ninja with a coughing fit. I am Hayate Gecko, your proctor for these elimination round. Please move to the Saint Cough stands and join your team leaders. We will use the computer behind me Cough to randomly select the matchups. They looked to the right where Kakashi was leaning on the wall reading his book. They moved towards the stairs, joining him and watched the screen on who will fight first. Kakashi closed his book and greeted them with a raised hand. Yo! Sakura and Sasuke greeted him back in the same manner and Naruto just nodded at him. He somewhat expected that his venom is currently swimming in his bloodstreams. Tsunade appeared yesterday to check on him and got a sample of his blood to make the antidote. It was expected to be ready before the day end. How are you feeling, Naruto? Kakashi asked his student. I've been better, but it's nothing I can't handle. Naruto replied with his usual wide grin, though it looked forced. Before Kakashi could ask him again, the screen lit up with 2 names written. Naruto vs. Kintsuchi. Daffy looked at the aforementioned girl, who's also looking at him confidently with a bit of apprehension. The girl jumped down and Daffy just walked the stairs, and faced his opponent. TCH. You should have just forfeited. You just got the most worst possible opponent for you now. Kin mocked, hoping to see some reaction. She was disappointed as the boy kept grinning with his hands in his pockets. The proctor cleared his throat. Okay, the matches will end if one or both competitors are unconscious, unable to continue to fight, surrender in the middle cough of the fighter if one of the competitor dies. My word is law in this stage cough and if I say the match is done, you stop. Any questions? Both genins shook their heads sideways. Very well, begin. The proctor immediately jumped away as the girl launched herself with a fist to Daffy. He blocked it with his leg and a battle with taijutsu commenced with the girl on the offensive. Daffy either blocked or evaded most of the barrage by the girl though few of them scratched him. Daffy knew he needed to finish this fast or the venom will further deteriorate him and lose a spot for the finals. He was caught off guard when his opponent did a 360 and lashed out a kick towards his stomach, sending him staggering a bit. Up the stairs, Kiba blinked his eyes. What the hell? Did he lose his touch or something? Well, I can't really say but something happened to him back in the forest and he's currently at a disadvantage. Kakashi replied. HMPH. Either he is weak or he is too much of a coward to hit a girl, you mean? Menma commented making Sakura glare at him. All of them ignored the Hokage. I's-san and teammates sensei asked Kakashi what did that mean. What happened to them at the Forest of Death, Kakashi? Kurenai questioned. I don't know for sure. But we, the Junin senseis, were ordered Red to meet the Hokage right after the eliminations. Kushina didn't say anything and just watched the battle down. The mother part of her was concerned and worried for Naruto after learning what happened back at the second exam, and she would have pestered Naruto. Though the shinobi and clan head part kept saying that her decisions were justified for the good of her clan. She watched as Naruto's kid back with his arms crossed in front of his face and fell on one knee as the girl detonated several explosive tags she threw at Naruto. Dust and smoke billowed out in the arena. What's the matter, Blondie? Are you really not gonna fight just because I'm a girl? You should have forfeited earlier and you wouldn't have to suffer from this humiliation. The sound girl taunted. Several girls and women, especially Kurenai, became angered as they heard what the girl said. Bullet string. Something shot out in the smoke and Kin barely dodged whatever it was that scratched her below her left eye. That attack, whatever it is, I don't know, but that attack would have pierced me. That attack was aimed to kill. I expected something to knock me out, but I didn't expect him to suddenly throw an attack to kill me. Kin thought worriedly. Fufu, humiliate me, you say? Emerging from the dust and smoke, Naruto approached the girl with a frown. No, you should have forfeited. I know you thought of this. He stopped a few feet away from her. When you thought you couldn't beat me, you should have forfeited. Kushina saw Naruto don his usual wide grin. The girl shivered. But of course, there are those I don't want kill or destroy. But, let me ask you something. His grin widened even further. Fear is now evident on the girl's face, forcing her to take a couple of steps back unconsciously. Have you ever seen a fierce animal that you were sure would never bite? Kushina watched his estranged son raise his hand, clawing the air, and 5 near unnoticeable colorful strings appeared on his fingertips. Fufufufu. Well, I haven't. The observers watched as Naruto surged forward, right hand trailing a bit with rainbow-colored strings. As he got in front of the sound girl, he executed his attack. Pentachromatic strings. He brought his hand, slashing the strings in 5 straight cuts from her left shoulder to her right hip. Arg! Kin lost consciousness before she hit the ground with a thud. Winner, Naruto, the proctor declared. Daffy looked at the girl, before he himself fell on one knee. The last thing he saw was his sensei on his side. Don't bother, Hayate, I'll bring him to the hospital myself. Both student and teacher disappeared in a body flicker. Hope he's okay, Sakura murmured quietly. Sasuke just squeezed her shoulder. Don't worry, that idiot will not die from some measly poison. I guarantee you that if he's close to dying, there would be a lot of casualties right now. The end.